Hello, my fellow Devil's Rejects. I actually missed you guys for reals. I really did. I'm not even kidding. Okay, so apparently this was the first Arcane City game that was created. That was the start of it all. Now let's check it out. Arcane City, Mythos. It all starts here. The stars were not right, but a vicious enemy wanted to make them that way. A young man, Chris Saffron, is a normal high schooler. Other than the terrifying dreams that haunts his psyche, a strange entity made of orbs with tortured faces on them and frightening girl lurk within his nightmares. Ooh. I love this series so much. I'll have to do like a whole playlist for it so you guys can enjoy Mr. C. I have to do a whole playlist so you guys can follow the whole story. I'll have to work on that. Okay. You ready? You got your popcorn? Hold on to your shorts. New game. A quick word from the dev before the game starts. My name is Mr. C, the creator behind Arcane City Game Studios. When I started making this visual novel over 2 years ago, I didn't expect it to take this long. It was a project that was supposed to be the first in the series of releases set in the Arcane City / Lovecraft Mythos, I can't say that, universe. I wound up having health setbacks, long-term terminally ill, with co-developers and other issues, which ended up getting this VN shelved temporarily. I won't lie, the art is very bland for a lot of it. The dialogue is sometimes clunky, and you can notice the style differences from when I stopped working on it and when I picked it back up later. There are also bugs in the thing, so save the game occasionally, please. And it can't be corrected. Okay, so I think it's set to save it on the second choice. The important thing here is the storyline itself and how it connects to the other visual novels. This one has a major impact on all the other ones, and it was planned long before any of them came out. I hope you enjoy, and remember, it's not over until the credits finish rolling. Mr. C, Arcane City Game Studios. Click to continue. Oh, I'm ready. I would dream about it. Every night the cosmos pulled at me, yanking my heart and soul into millions of pieces. But why, I wondered. What made me endure such visions in my slumber? And then I saw it. A cluster of lights and orbs. It showed up immediately before I would awaken, as if I was heading towards it. But what did it want? I'm terrified, and yet my curious nature is enchanted by it. And then right as I'm about to reach it... Oh no, not those things again. It's a nice bedroom. I'd awaken in my rather normal bedroom, just another day in a mundane life. I feel that so deep right now. A mundane reality. Such was my world. It was my first day of senior year, and I wasn't expecting much. I wasn't a slacker by any means, but I had problems with things that didn't interest me. The things that I enjoyed, I would excel at. I'd been dating the same girl, Katie, for 6 months. However, it had been very rocky the entire time. I spent way too much time to myself, reading and trying to learn everything about, well, pretty much everything. The life of an introvert. Classroom 101. I entered the classroom, taking a seat in the back row, trying to avoid people. The classroom started to fill up with students, rushing in like moths to a flame. For what purpose, I honestly don't know. I just want to stop this real quick and say, if you guys haven't seen all the moth memes from last year, I think, you're missing out. I think those are my favorite memes ever created. Moth memes. Check them out. It's not like the room is going anywhere. This was homeroom, so it also isn't like we were going to do any tests in here or anything. It's mostly for socializing, right? And of course, there was my shadow. What the heck, Sirwin? You about made me fall out of my seat. Don't rush up on me like that. It's nice to see you again, she exclaimed nervously. Sirwin was a little younger than me and had been my BFF for ages now. She was naive and got picked on by other girls quite a bit. I stood up for her when I could. I'm so sorry about what happened with Katie. I heard that she broke up with you. What? Broke up with me? What are you talking about? Oops, I'm so sorry. I wasn't supposed to tell you. Oh no. Sirwin ran off to her desk after telling me that. I sat in a state of shock for a few minutes. Sirwin was Katie's friend, so she was privy to inside information, like Katie planning on breaking up with me. I stood in anger for the entire homeroom period, rage welling up until I was ready to punch something. Luckily, the bell rang. At lunch, I was so pissed off that I decided to take myself out to the football field and stew on the bleachers, getting the hell away from people in general. I can relate. And of course, you know who just had to show up. Katie. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you I wish Sherwin hadn't let it slip. I didn't mean for it to come out like that. I just don't think that we're cut out for each other. You deserve better than me. So you're just gonna give me your dumb excuses? Katie walked off frowning, on the verge of tears without looking back. What the hell could I have done wrong? Is it because I always have my nose buried in books or research? I do fun stuff occasionally. Hell, I love to go sing karaoke. Of course, when I get on stage, it's like I'm a totally different person. This whole alter ego comes out. Too bad I can't be that other person all the time. I was angry, enraged even. I picked up a small rock and threw it across the field, expecting to hear a ping when it hit the other set of bleachers across from me. What erupted, though, wasn't a pinging. It looked and sounded more like a firecracker exploding. Shards of light flashed from where it hit, the loud pow echoing. What the hell? You just opened a void. You go and done something. Later that night, outside of the local bar downtown, music from a live band echoed from inside of the bar, pouring onto the nearby streets. Mysterious girl, I am so drunk right now. She stumbled around, giggling slightly. A guy came out of the bar as she stumbled about, sizing her up, obviously looking to take advantage of the situation. What's your name, baby? I've been checking that ass out all night. Hi, Casa. Nearly falling over on the sidewalk. Hey, you didn't drive here, did you? Looking at her cleavage. Drive? Schmive, I'm way too messed up to drive home, innocent eyes. Well, you can go with me and sober up at my place. She grabbed the man by the hand, pulling him into a narrow, dark, nearby alley. Maybe I can wait that long? I can't wait that long. Seductive smile. Looks like it's my lucky night. Wait, what are you? I like the music in the background. Oh, you gone got. Oh, you gonna get got. The music was barely loud enough to cover the man's screams of sheer horror. Cassidy walked out of the alley fully composed, holding the man's shirt in her hands, a bit of dust pouring off of it. She discarded it, tossing it down into the ground as a different girl walked up, bubbly and hyper. Wasn't him, I take it? Obviously not, Lynthenia, dear child. Damn it, are we ever going to find this guy? Cassidy, the dark-haired girl, walked over the shirt, a stiletto from her heel, stabbing it thrushly as they made their way from the bar. Yes, I can feel him. Have patience. We shall find each other soon enough. Typical. Fire dress. And here I was again. Another evening, another crazy dream. This time, it was even more intense though, more real. And I was seeing more things than before. Things that both terrified me and yet felt familiar somehow. Things almost alien in nature. Most sane people would have probably woke up screaming. Oh yeah, that's my woman. Luckily, I don't seem to represent sanity at its finest. No, here you go, waking up, bud. I awoke, sweating profusely with a slight headache. Oh. The days rolled by. Day turned to night and night turned to day again. All in the meanwhile, I kept having more vivid dreams and more odd things were happening. I seemed to be able to throw objects and upon impact they exploded with the force, I'd guess, of a cherry bomb. One day I went to light a cigar and it ignited on its own, or perhaps I did it. I couldn't be sure. One of the most frightening things I've been encountering were dreams of a strange girl. She was cloudy in appearance, but her voice echoed inside my head. She seemed dark and ominous, but at the same time I felt an undeniable connection to her. I was sick of school, sick of confusion, angry and bitter. Alone. Well, mostly. Sarah wouldn't call me sometimes, but she was shy, skittish, and didn't know what to say usually. Mostly she rambled on incoherently about silly things. We were about to be off for a break. I figured that I'd just sit alone in my room reading. Or maybe just sleep. Who the hell knew? I pondered going up to the local bar and restaurant to sing a few karaoke songs, when my close friend Mike texted, asking me to meet him and his cousin there. Jimmy's Station wasn't one of the huge mega clubs that you would see downtown. It had two sections, a karaoke bar on the side and the restaurant on the other. It ranged from sparse to crowded depending on the night. This evening was kind of low-key. I sat down at my usual seat after grabbing a drink from the bar. Next thing I knew, my two best guy friends walked up to me. Hey Chris, you actually came out of your cave for once. Mike was the epitome of hilarious, the type of guy always looking to get into something. Mostly just for amusement, I think. We're a lot alike in that way. Between the two of us, we were lucky that some of our harebrained schemes haven't gotten us shot. Hey there guys, sorry that I haven't been out much. I've been feeling kinda down. Maybe we should have a round of drinks and catch up. Good idea. Matt, Mike's cousin, is smart and resourceful guy. He's very intuitive and objective. It didn't hurt that they had family who ran a genetics corporation downtown. Matt worked there. The two of them sat down with me after grabbing drinks. So what happened? You've been stuck in the house since the whole thing ended with Katie. Your You're taking that way too You're taking that way too personally. Man, you need to go out and be a shark. Jaws in the water. He started humming the Jaws theme loudly. Did it, did it, did it, did it, did it, did. Okay, it seemed like there's something else bothering you. I've never seen you this down. Yeah, guys, my steam is shot all to hell, and there's some crazy stuff going on beyond the relationship issues. Such as? I paused. We've all been through some strange things, but telling them that I can supercharge objects and make them blow up sounds crazy. Full disclosure, guys, I've been having recurring nightmares about these creepy entities and a weird girl, and apparently I've gotten some sort of a superpower now. Elaborate? He looked at me, inquisitive. When Katie left me, I was angry. I picked up a rock and threw it. Upon impact, it combusted. That's been happening every time I concentrate on doing it now, and it's gotten stronger. What the hell? And a high-pitched voice. Shh, keep it down. I don't want half of the people in here to know. Oops, my bad. Okay, this sounds pretty crazy. It's no crazier than the stuff that has been happening to you, Mike. What? What did Matt just say? Mike has been having bizarre stuff happening to him as well? What's been happening to you, Mike? You're gonna think that I'm making this up. No, trust me, my belief system has opened up a lot more to weirdness these days. Should I? Yeah, I should. Suddenly, there was a quick blur when looking at Mike, and a whoosh for a split second. Next thing I know, he has another drink. Whoa, whoa, where'd that come from? I ran behind the bar and got it. What? Holy cow! The classic trope of super speed? Yep. Are you gonna start wearing spandex and put a lightning bolt on it? Sarcastic reference to the Flash, of course. Not quite there yet, but it's good for getting a quick peek inside of the women's locker room at the gym. I roll my eyes. That's not all. I also seem to be impervious to physical impacts. When I run like that, and somehow or another, I have an ability to manipulate my own pheromones. So that's why the last time we were by the bar, you had like 3 hot girls hanging all over you? Hey, if you've got it, use it. I'd venture to guess that your abilities are energy related, Chris, perhaps even on a quantum level. I'd like to take some DNA samples from both of you and run them. In the meantime, with Chris being in this depressed state, Mike, you might want to see about giving him an esteem-boosting appearance transformation, maybe? A makeover? Sweet, we're gonna make you a ladies' man, Chris, this Saturday. It is so on, buddy. We're going out of the town to find you a woman. Oh boy. Take a little drink. At that point, I said goodnight to Mike and Matt. Went home and relaxed for a bit. Then I went to bed. Yet again, I found myself in space in my dream. That'd be nuts. I've been waiting for you. Join me, my love. What? Who was this girl? I felt her drawing me towards her, and yet I couldn't see her face. She had a familiar feel to her. However, there was something about her that also terrified me. I've tried to move closer to her, but the fear that instinctually gripped me from the bizarre surroundings made me freeze in place. Then she was fading away, and I couldn't see her anymore. A wave of despair washed over my soul. Come to me now! What the hell was that? Was I still dreaming? I awoke in my bed alone. The next night, I agreed to meet up with Mike and do his makeover business. I got my bravery up, thanks in part to some Canadian whiskey that I had beforehand, though I was still terrified. We got in line for one of the larger clubs, the Tavern, since Mike thought that a lot of single women would be there, and he's the sharkiest shark of all. His words, not mine. Hold up, man. Before we go in, just don't try too hard. But don't be shy either. Play it cool. Alright, I'll do my best. We made our way inside. Needless to say, I was nervous and out of my comfort zone. It felt like we were doing a cross-country hike all over the building. Loud music from a band playing reverberated through the gigantic deck bar room as I shook slightly, partially out of my own fear of failure. I'm getting distracted by the music. It's good. Alright. Mike started pointing women out to me. I'm an introvert, damn it, I thought to myself, I'm not used to this kind of stuff. Here, go talk to her. He pointed at the random girl sitting alone at the bar. I took a breath, grabbed my courage, walked up. Hi, how's your night going? She looked at me quizzically, taking a sip of her drink, and she held her palms facing up in the air and shrugged. No hablos English, senor. Ugh, never mind. I walked away, face palming. Dude, don't worry about it. That was a fluke. How could you have known she couldn't speak English? Good point, I guess. There. That's one of the chicks that dances in the cages. Go say something to her. Wait, I've got it. She probably gets hit on all the time, so instead of saying something nice, say something negative. It's called negging a chick. Here we go again. I walked over to her. Hi, I'm Chris, and I have no clue what I'm doing, but you're a dancer here, right? Right, I love dancing. In the cage? Yep. So you dance around in the cage like a crazy half-dressed idiot? I did not just say that. Get lost, creep. Yeah, that's right. She tossed some vodka at me, getting part of it on my shirt. Sheesh. This whole romance business does not seem to come naturally to me. Don't even think about giving up, man. All you've got to do is be more aggressive. Yeah, right. And get what? Kicked in the balls? My thoughts were interrupted as a new face abruptly popped into the view. Mike and I were on the catwalk that overlooked the main area, so this had to be intentional. This random blonde-haired girl who looked way too chipper and energetic with a vibe like she came from the 1980s quite literally came skipping up. Like, hi, my name is totally like Melissa and stuff. You look so sad, like a little cute puppy dog when that mean girl threw stuff at you. Personally, I think that she's a catty limbo, like zero sense of fashion. I think you're like so totally cute and cool. You have nice eyes. They reminded me of a beach and stuff like back home in Southern California. My family moved here because my dad like totally got a big job. My parents are so uncool. Oh, speaking of parents, blah blah blah. She certainly talked a lot. I felt like I got thrown into the universe of the like, oh my god girls. I wonder if I could request that Zappa song, Valley Girl, and dedicate it to this weirdo. Suddenly she got very close to me, as in major personal space invasion. So we should like totally meet up tomorrow. Yep. We'll be happy to, and I'll make sure he makes it out. Right, Chris? Jimmy Station sound good? Yeah. Like, oh my god, that sounds so totally bitchin'. Jeez, how retro. Yeah. Mysterious being. Time is space. Space is time. You are those. You are everything. You are here. You are there. What the hell is that person thing? Wait, I know that voice. Here we go again. I must have fallen asleep. Well, tonight is the big date. Should I bring earplugs? Probably. And to make matters worse, it turned out that Melissa went to school. Awkward much? So like then he totally told Cindy that he had an affair with her boyfriend and he's like so super grody. Blah 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 blah. She's cute, but does she ever stop? Jeez, yeah, should have worn the earplugs. Blah 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 blah. 15 minutes later, blah 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 blah. Like I'm so totally having a great time, Maurice. You are such a good conversationalist. Nothing worse than hanging out with someone that just talks about themselves the whole time. It's so boring. Which is odd since I haven't been able to get 5 words in within the entire time we've been here. I noticed Mike in the background keeping an eye on us and making sure that I was doing okay. I nodded at him as he went and took a seat in a nearby part of the bar. I was immediately distracted as 2 new faces entered the bar, moving with an arrogant stride. The shorter one had a playful smirk, and the taller, long-haired one didn't bat an eye at the men gawking. Through her eyes seemed to flick towards me for a moment. These 2 were totally out of the ordinary for such a low-key place. They looked like models, and I couldn't keep my eyes off the dark-haired one. They took a seat quietly, talking to each other. The redhead would giggle occasionally, then I noticed the dark-haired one glaring at a young man who dared to approach her. Did I just hear her mention severing his vocal cords? Jeez. I returned my attention for the moment to Melissa, who was going on about their outfits being too revealing. Their outfits are way too godly and mine is totally awesome. They're totally dressed like total. Suddenly the taller girl walked over, gracefully placing her slender digits on Melissa's shoulders. Melissa seemed lethargic. The stranger's eyes transfixed upon my own, and I felt as though I was being lulled into some deepening trance. Cassidy, your cohort doesn't look well. Perhaps she should take her leave? Yeah, like maybe she's totally right. Like I'm feeling kinda ill all of a sudden. What? Just like that? Well, be careful, get some rest, and let me know you get home safe. Maybe the drinks aren't agreeing with you? Do you need me to walk you out? No, I can imagine. I'll walk home and I only live 2 blocks from here. I'll call you tomorrow. The new arrival sat down in front of me, talking Melissa's former spot quite territorially. Taking. Is this seat taken? I thought that perhaps you might relish in some actual meaningful conversation. Maybe so, don't get me wrong. Melissa is nice and all, but not really my type per se. As appealing as this girl's features were, I kept getting drawn to her dark, enigmatic eyes. It's like they were reaching out and pulling at my heartstrings. My name is Cassidy. I was compelled to take her hand and kiss the top of it, like one of those scenes out of a Victorian-era play. And as soon as I did, I felt a surge of warmth and something unexplainable. It was like the touch of her skin brought something out in me that I've never felt before. Meanwhile, outside of the bar. Oh shit. If you contact Chris again, I will personally kill you. I'll bury you in your own blood. Oh my god, you're insane. Please, don't hurt me. Melissa began crying, fearing for her own safety. Mike emerged from the bar after having heard enough. Is there a problem here, ladies? He looked at Lynthia with a challenging smirk, raising a fist into a jiu-jitsu position to match her taunting posture and threatening words. The only problem here is you, little man. Oh? Oh, damn! Mike leaped at her at blinding speed. However, Lynthia's slender frame grabbed Mike by the throat and picked him up with one hand, a seemingly impossible feat for a person her size. You don't know who you're messing with. If you anger me, you're going to feel my wrath, pretty boy. I've lived with women before. I know all about their monthly cycles. Oh shit. Pig, I'll kill you. Let's not fight. He winked at her as he shook free, backing up a few steps and resuming his fighting stance. He attempted to use his pheromone ability, but to his shock, it didn't seem to be working. How about we have drinks instead? Only if the drink is your blood. In the meantime, Melissa, terrified, took off running down the sidewalk towards her home. Suddenly, a whoosh noise was heard as a sideways cyclone of dirt and dust emerged from Lithuania's palms, speeding in the direction of Mike. Suffocation isn't a pleasant fate. Oh, so you're that clingy? Mike sidestepped the cyclone at an insane speed, confusing Lithuania as he darted back and forth. Give up now and this won't get messy, unlike your bed later tonight. You and your one-liners. Mike quickly rotated his arms in the opposite direction of the mini-cyclone, causing it to lose cohesion and vanish rapidly. He then leaped at Lithuania with a flying sidekick. Mike's kick nailed Lithuania square in the solar plexus, sending her flying. Had enough yet? Lithuania smacked against the wall loudly, and as soon as this happened, her body exploded into a dust cloud, which strangely floated into the club through an open window. What the hell is she? Wait, that thing was with the girl that came up to Chris when Melissa left. I better go back in there and make sure he's okay. Meanwhile, there is something different about you than others that I've encountered, and I believe that if you open your mind, you will come to the same realization about me. I paused, stunned for a moment. Her voice, her facial structure, those eyes, this was the girl who I'd been seeing in those dreams. I'm Christopher. I'm your completion. She gracefully moved towards me as I could feel that what I could only describe as a charge like static electricity, but more intense and somewhat pleasurable. I couldn't help but drawn towards her lips. I began to move to them, and for a moment I could swear that I started visibly seeing blue mist and sparks of energy passing back and forth between us. Our lips were about to meet when suddenly Mike came barreling in, putting his hands up and essentially blocking us from each other. Hold up, stop the presses. I know Chris, 5 more seconds, right? Stop the makeout session, we need to talk, man, alone. Cassidy looked super annoyed, and I could swear that her eyes glowed for a moment. I'll be right here when you come back. She was obviously flustered. That girl you're getting friendly with? Cassidy? Yeah, something's not right with her. Her friend, that red-headed Lithuania, went outside and threatened to kill Melissa if she called you again. Then she attacked me, and when I say attacked, I mean she sent a sandstorm at me and then turned it into smoke and flew off. What, dude? You're kidding. Why are you blocking me? I finally have a beautiful girl who is totally into me. I'm not kidding. What I said did happen. I've got the bruises to prove it. I'll be careful. That's my boy. But do not leave with her. I'll be keeping tabs on you. I walked off into the other section of the bar, annoyed. Meanwhile, us were in the bar. Lithuania, can't keep a good girl down, or a bad girl for that matter. Bartender, give me a tall sex on the beach. Being able to alter my density to get trashed off one shot helps save money. I wonder if they have any candy bars here. That whole density thing doesn't help you win a fight though, now does it? He winked at her, more curious than angry now. Lynthenia turned around and smirked upon seeing Mike drowning her drink most of the way and moving close to him. You still don't learn, big man. You out for seconds or something? She winked seductively at Mike. Or did you come here to learn from the master? Learn what? That you have some kind of earth-based powers? Yep. How'd you get them? I guess the same way that you got your abilities. Weren't you born with them? Not that I know of, unless it's one of those human evolutionary leaps like you see in comic books. Sorry, the music is really loud on my headset. I don't think that's it, by the way. You're cute when you're angry, even though the one-liners are ridiculously funny, but ridiculous. Mike chuckled. In spite of their first impression of each other, there was a massive chemistry here. Oh, subject change already? Nope, just kinda drunk. Off one drink? That's pretty sad. Let's just say that I know how to stretch $1, but you can't outdrink me though. Yeah, right. Shake on it. You lose, you buy me some chips from the bar. Mike looked at her quizzically, but then took her hand and shook on it. Pretty sad I have to kneel down to even shake your hand, shorty. What's your name? My name is Lynthenia. My friend call me Lynn. Okay, short chick. Don't make me kick your ass in front of all these people. Aw, you're cute when you're trying to threaten people. Stupid one-liners again. Shut up and slow dance with me before I like you even less. She winked. Drink. A pentagram. Me and Cassidy. So do you feel what I feel while we are close? Whatever do you mean? Nice trying at being coy. There's no need for that. Really? Really. I've dreamed about you before I met you, and you're not the only thing I've had recurring dreams about. I have the same dreams. Did you run Melissa off? Be honest. She's not the one for you. I am. You know this. Maybe. So tell me about yourself and tell me about your powers. You know about them? Obviously. I can charge objects and throw them. They blow up on impact, and I can make small fires. How little do you know yourself? You're holding yourself back. Holding back? What does she mean? Explain. You have a great deal more power than you give yourself credit for. You also have memories hiding within you, locked away. What type of memories? I can teach you to find them, and I can teach you to unlock your innate abilities as well, but you have to be willing to keep an open mind. How open? She moved her face to mine as I felt her warm breath, and the magnetism between us drew my lips to her own. This open. What is happening to me? It was as if a fog lifted and I began to see infinity, cosmic terrors, and incomprehensible things surrounded and moved through everything in the room. God, you're making me want some leather stretchy pants. Flashes of insane lights and horrible creatures spurred before my eyes, but two enormous ones stood out. One made of what looked like orbs or stars, the thing I'd been dreaming about constantly. Those weren't bubbles, they were spheres, and some of them had eyes, gnawing teeth, galaxies, and tortured faces on their surfaces, yet the forms were constantly shifting from one thing to the other. Then there was the other behemoth, too enormous and horrifying to put into words, but there was a hideous music that seemed to be lulling it to sleep from other horrid beings. Oops. That were orbiting it. And as of yet, in all of this, I felt connected to these things, though simultaneously, sanity fled my mind. Oh shit. Seas of infinity surrounded us, a murky syrup of some sort of intelligence. A boundless final mind looked onwards. For a moment I glimpsed the nature of reality. Our very essences extended into the cosmic abyss, into eternity and infinity, and into those unknowable dark spaces in between. I felt a magnetic pull to her, our bodies turning partially to some form of non-Euclidean fluid, beginning to touch and collide with each other. I then noticed the orb surrounding us and realized that in some fashion it was myself who had created it by will alone. It was as if within this orb that encased us we were becoming one being, physically as well as mentally merging. The primal sludge from our hands and faces emulsified into another's, weaving around like serpents, and it was at this time that I noticed a long tentacle extended from my back. It stretched off into space outside the orb I was within, into the horrifying gigantic eye-shaped thing with many other terrifying orbs hovering around it. It was more than just a dream though, it was something linked to me. I was like a puppet, and the tentacle from my backpack connected me to it, feeding me with its will. Perhaps it had been there the entire time, my entire life, but only now was I truly glimpsing it for the first time. I then noticed that Cassidy had her own tentacle coming from her back, stretching off into the other direction. Hers went to that other thing that I had envisioned earlier, that horrifying ominous terror in the center of everything, which was asleep and being kept in the state of sinister music. My thoughts were interrupted. Hey! Hey, snap out of it! Both of you, break it up! You and your cohort need to calm down the love fest. Do you realize what would have happened if you had just completed your compilation effort? We would have enjoyed it immensely. You could have destroyed everything, and by that I mean literally everything. And how would you know that? Who are you? This is Matt, Mike's cousin. He's a close friend. There's only an 87% chance that we could have ended all of reality. Wait, what? I won't reveal how I know. However, I can tell you that you, Cassidy, Lenthinia, and Mike are each connected to creatures of enormous power. Lovely. So it's love at first sight, but I can't do what comes natural, really? Then again, this was anything but natural. Natural reproduction doesn't involve a tentacle in your back and turning into liquid. What does he mean by destroying the multiverse? Cassidy? I walked up behind Cassidy and wrapped my arms around her, kissing and biting on her neck teasingly as she squirmed and let out a soft moan. Consequences be damned. I think I partially did it just to annoy Matt. Come to think of it, something was changing within me, something dark. Seriously, guys, stop it. Fine. She huffed under her breath. Well, that didn't take long. You guys already planning the wedding? Oh, wait. That'll unmake reality. Matt already informed me of that. Lenthinia glared at Matt and Mike. Getting down and dirty is the right of all sentient beings. Now where the hell are my chips, Mikey? She smirked at her own sarcasm. We stood around debating for a few minutes, mostly banter between Cassidy and Mike about ending the space-time continuum and such. I half expected an old guy to hop out of a DeLorean ranting about us messing up the universe. We all agreed to sit down and talk about what we knew. That was my idea. Well, all exchange numbers as well. Turns out that Cassidy appeared literally with total amnesia, or so she had about 2 years ago, not too far from my house. I was probably at school or at my job at the time, or she would have found me then. Her abilities seem to include sensing me when I'm in close range and draining energy, be it electrical, nuclear, or human. She could feed on it and turn a man to ashes, what I thought. Mike had his pheromone and speed abilities, kind of a funny coincidence since his CB radio handle nickname was Speed. Lynthenia could not only create and control earthy stuff like dirt, plants, and so forth, but she can actually turn into such elements along with nasty things that I can't describe. She seemed to be the most advanced of any of us in her abilities. And of course, there was me with my explosions and fire, and that bubble thing, which I made in the vision with Cassidy. I can't even say if that was real, however. As for the dreams, we talked of those as well. My dreams about the massive cosmos bubble thing with the hideous eyes and mouths, I shuddered at the thought of the tentacle of my felt back for a moment, not finding it there as I let out a sign of relief. I'm losing my voice a little bit, sorry. Cassidy's dream of sleeping monstrously in those horrible flutes playing disorienting music. Something about the music seemed familiar, a memory from long ago that I had forgotten. Lynthenia was apparently proud of hers, some warped fertility entity of liquid and changing shapes that moved through the woods, birthing terrible life forms and absorbing them again. Mike's was somehow perhaps the most cryptic, a strange Ferwara who wore obsidian and walked through the desert surrounded by worshippers in what looked like the Middle Egypt. Suddenly, and without my own accord, I blurted out, not of my own will, mind you. Yog Sothoth. My voice was not quite my own, as it had strangely eerie quality to it, as if there were a chorus of me speaking when I said those words. Matt looked at me quizzically before standing up and excusing himself to leave. We agreed to get together again in a couple of days in the same location, and Cassidy and I promised Mike that we would not be together without a chaperone in the meantime. While my instincts hated the idea, I understood the logic behind it, obviously, and I couldn't deny what I'd been experiencing. I said good night to everyone, kissed Cassidy softly upon the lips, and then drove home. I looked into the mirror in my bedroom. You are me. Who? What are you? The gate. The all-in-one. You have viewed me previously in a limited fashion. Yog Sothoth. Yog Sothoth. Yog Sothoth. Yog Sothoth. Yog Sothoth. Yog Sothoth. You are me. A piece of me that I used to interact with corporals. Do I have my own free will? You are me. Not exactly an answer. The worshippers of lower entities have defied us. They have defied the outer gods. You will punish their defiance. Who are these worshippers? The stars are not right. I only know when the time is proper. They defy me, and you will punish them on behalf of you. All four of you will punish them on our behalf. Who are these worshippers already? Those that follow Cthulhu, those that follow Father Dragon, those that assist them. You have limited free will in order to interact with your environment in a way that does not disrupt. There are some memories of previous visits that you have made, however. Previous visits, other extensions of other pieces of the whole, with different purposes for their visits than current you. You're talking about various avatars of you, or us, aren't you? Not sure how I know that, but you must learn of some of these previous visitors in order to gain the will and power to do what must be done. I wasn't certain if currently had even physical body at this point, but I feigned a nod. Very well. Damn. I must have fallen asleep, however, this was most certainly real. I must take this Yog Sothoth at face value. Where are my keys? What did I do with my apples? Lemons? Lemons make fruit. Lemons are fruit of dried maggots. Maggots are delicious. What the hell am I talking about? I'm thinking about really weird, gross stuff. What's wrong with me? Meanwhile, in a highbrow family restaurant downtown, parents and children were enjoying a pleasant dinner when... Excuse me, I've been waiting 5 minutes for a seat, you idiots. I told you, sir. You aren't wearing the proper clothing to meet the dress code here. And what? And that fucking whining kid over there is... The father of a small child glared at Siddiqui. Please, lower your voice, sir, and leave, or we'll have to call building security. Security? Do you think your security can touch me? Do you think any of you can touch me? The lady rushed over to the phone to call security as Siddiqui let out a horrific scream, grasping his head in an insane cry. Call your security, that means more sacrifices. More sacrifices for my God, starting with the children here. He will be pleased. The father of the small child walked over angrily as Siddiqui fell to the ground. His skin started to bubble and change, letting out a cry of terror. Instantly, the food on the plates began boiling throughout the restaurant, as did the drinks, liquefying into a putrid green sludge that seemed to bubble and change form. Yes! Chichulu ftang, yeah, chichulu ftang. As my lord wishes, it shall be. Siddiqui's skin boiled and melted off as he stood up, brandishing a chainsaw in his arm, swiftly cutting the head off of the child's father, who had come to confront him. Without warning, the Nogreen liquefied food suit up on the faces of the patrons, grabbing them like ropes and suffocating them, squeezing their skulls until they cracked open. Once the skulls were open, the liquid climbed inside of the bodies and started eating the corpses from the inside out. The corpses boiled and melted into pools on the floor and chairs. Siddiqui walked over and impaled the chainsaw into the skull of the small 2-year-old child, laughing as he walked off. The entire room was littered with remains, and the putrid scent of feces, sulfur, and death pervaded the air. Childhood's a bitch, ain't it, kid? Hope y'all enjoyed your meals. Have a pleasant night! Ha ha ha! Damn. I walked into Jimmy's station and took a seat. It wasn't the night we had arranged to meet. This was more of an on-board thing, and I winded up here. Suddenly, Chris? A familiar, cutesy female voice rang out. Hi! Oh, hi, Sirwin. Whoa, you look different than usual. Hi, Christopher. How's your evening going? Alright, just came up to sing for a bit and relax. Care to join me? Really? Oh, I mean, sure. She turned bright red. Weird. Sirwin sat down across from me. Odd, I never really noticed it until she was dressed up, but her and Cassidy share more than a tiny bit of passing resemblance. Not that Winover dresses up. It may happen once or twice a year at most, and this was a pretty revealing outfit. So what are you doing? Just need to relax. I'm not mad at you about that whole thing with Katie. I'm over it. Good, I was worried about that. You're one of my only friends. I wouldn't want you to hate me. I could never hate you, Win. Then, how about buying me a drink, mister? She grinned. Wait, was Saren just flirting with me? Someone told me that I should try being a bit bolder. Is this working? Well, maybe so. We'll see, won't we? I went and grabbed us some drinks. Thank you. So how are you enjoying break? I've spent most of it at home reading. I made a couple of new friends though. They're a tiny bit older than us and they seem pretty nice. That's great. I worry about you sometimes. Oh, you worry about me, really? That's so sweet. She blushed again, smiling submissively. So there's new friends. How'd you meet them? Sounds like they're a good influence on you. I was up here last night sitting in the corner watching people sing. These two girls came up and protected me from this mean guy who kept hassling me. Wait a minute. Two girls, eh? Were their names perchance Cassidy and Lynthenia? Yes. Oh wow, how did you know them too? They're so cool. Cassidy is so pretty. And Lynthenia is so funny. I facepalm. Yeah, I know them alright. They're okay. Just be careful. They're cool, but they can be trouble at times. No way. I only try to see the good in people and I like them. Got it? Good. She stuck her tongue out at me playfully. A song came on that I liked. Wanna dance? I can not believe I just asked that. Are you sure? I mean, I might step on your feet. You'll be fine. Okay. Let it rain. So you don't dance much, eh? Never. I took ballet lessons as a kid, but you knew about that already, silly goose. So why have we never danced before then? You never asked? Good point, I guess. That might help, right? You stand on your tippy toes when you dance. Ha, well, you make cute faces when you dance. How so? You look so serious. Don't tell anybody. I don't want to lose my reputation as a stand-up comedian. She laughed and pulled closer to me. I could feel her breath on me. Is this cheating, I wondered, after what happened with Cassidy? I was consumed with confusion. Sarah has always been a good friend, but I've never seen her this way before. It's like a light switch was flipped on. Suddenly she pulled me around face to face with her. I must admit to being rather stunned for a moment. Cassie really had given her a bit of courage. Without warning, Sarah leaped up to me, or perhaps had I lifted her up. And we exchanged a deep kiss. I felt my body shiver with a tingling sensation. This wasn't like the kiss with Cassidy, but it wasn't weak either. No, something else was going on here. This was no ordinary kiss. I told you that he was an excellent kisser. A chill went down my spine as I heard Cassidy's voice come from behind me. A sense of guilt crawled up from the pit of my stomach. Don't fret, Christopher. I'm not angry. In fact, I'm the one who suggested that Sarah go for it. That's a surprise. A nice one, thanks, Cassidy. I like Sarah, and let us just say that we are related. Our last names are both Solaris. Oh, right. Well, that explains their appearance looking familiar. I wonder if they're cousins or maybe even sisters. That is so cool. Christopher, I desire a moment to talk to you alone outside. Wynne, do you mind? No, it's alright. I'll see you in a bit. I'm not angry. This is fate, destiny. You and I will be thrown right now if we try to get together. Mike will make sure of it. So no matter how much of a yearning we have for one another, we have to curb it for now. Be with Sarah, there will come a day when you will be with me. Count on it, my love. We were interrupted by a mugger holding a small sword. A sword? How odd. Give me the money and any jewels you got, or nobody's getting lucky tonight except maybe me. He held the blade up as Cassidy turned to face him, angering me, as he looked like he could swing it down on her at any moment. Cassidy's expression turned to one of rage as she held out her palm towards the man. No, without warning, a strange orb flew from my body. It looked like a smaller version of the one that I had created for Cassidy and myself in our vision together. It surrounded his weapon, and the blade glowed, changed color, and shattered, or rather was ripped apart at a molecular level. The orb then vanished, and the man looked at his now empty hand, awestruck and clearly afraid. Kill him now, make him suffer. I don't kill. I do. Cool. Help me, oh God, please, me. Huh. The succeeded corpse hit the ground and shattered into dust, which diluted in the air. Why did you not end his miserable life, my dearest? Have you lost your mind? You just killed him. I can't take another human being's life. You're frickin' insane. You are not human, as much as you'd like to delude yourself. We are deities next to these insects, and the sooner that you can accept that, the better. Philosophical disagreement then. I agree to disagree. I tried to reason with myself to give her any legitimate excuse as to why she would have to take the man's life. She merely smirked, as if reading my thoughts. In any case, it could technically have been self-defense in this situation. I tried to shake the sense from my head and change the subject. Do you know that your skin changed when you used your whatever that ability is called? Yours did too when you created the orb. It was a minor, but it was there. You've just now begun to touch a glimpse of your potential. What did I look like? The night sky. Fascinating. Go enjoy the remainder of your night. There is no more to be said here. I knew you would have to use your ability, that's why I called you out here. I was about to protest, but then she hugged me tightly for a moment, as did I in return to her. I didn't want to let go, but eventually we both did, as she merely said good evening and walked off into the darkness. Is everything good? As good as can be expected. I heard shouting. What happened? Some creep tried to pickpocket Cassidy. We ran him off. I hated lying, but I figured that the truth would be far too much for Sarah to bear, or believe for that matter. Not the first time I've had to tell her a white lie. Oh, I'm so sorry, poor baby. She reached out and hugged me, I suppose in an effort to comfort. Such a sweet, naive girl. Naive? I got the gut feeling that protecting her may become a full-time job for me. That's crazy. It was time to get ready to meet up with the others. Tonight we decided to meet at the bigger club, the tavern. I hoped that Matt would have the result of the DNA test he took from all of us. Perhaps I was grasping at straws, but anything would be helpful right now, other than feeling like my sanity is draining. Good evening, my dearest. I smiled and nodded to everyone and got lost in Cassidy's gaze for a moment before regaining my senses. So we actually got to hang out and have fun tonight? Have a fun night on the town? Hell yeah, man. Party like it's $29.99. Bring on the drinks and the candy bars. Wait a minute, that's not fair. What's all this hand-holding with you two, Mike and Lynn? Well, it won't end the universe if we do it. He smirked as Cassie snarled and rolled her eyes briefly, before returning her stare to meet my own. Just for that remark, first round is on Mike. What the hell, I never agreed to this. Please, Mikey. She turned around and slugged him, giving him a pouty face. Come on, I'll dye my hair blonde. I know you said you like blondes. Okay, you talked me into it, but what else do I get out of this? Tee-hee. Linthania licked her lips and winked. Yep, first round's on me. Typical. Cassidy smirked dubiously. Come dance with me, please, Christopher. I'd be delighted, madame, in a phony French accent. The band was playing a low-tempo rock ballad from the 1990s that I recognized, a good one for slow dancing. I was focusing my romantic interest on Sarah, but nonetheless, Mike was occasionally watching us to make sure that we weren't getting too friendly with one another. That is why Lynthia wasn't occupying his attention. So do you come here often? Only if you're here, handsome. She traced her fingertips down my chest slowly, stopping just inches above my waistline. A dark, naughty smile pursuing her lips. You know, that's extremely unfair, right? Plus, I'm involved now. This entire situation is unfair. So you told me to go for Siren, how odd. Indeed, I did. The two of you are more tangled web than you realize. So tell me about Azathoth. What is there to say? Just don't play flute music around me. Don't like flutes? They make me sleepy, unlike you. I bet you really like bubble baths, though. She grinned. I got the sarcasm that she was trying to convey. My bigger self did bear an almost comical similarity to Bubbles. If you look away the gruesome aspects. So about Sarwyn, you never told me how the two of you are related. The two of you look somewhat alike, but are very different. The question was interrupted by the shaking of the balcony floor upon which we danced. A loud boom rattled the entire club. I grabbed Cassidy to ensure that she didn't fall as I heard a commotion and an angry voice yelling from the downstairs area. Prepare yourself, Christopher. I felt it too. There's some sort of dangerous presence here. Meanwhile, downstairs. Oh no, not that guy. Stupid fucking barkeep. I wanted a light beer. The insane Siddiqui threw his drink, promptly splashing it on Mike and Lithinia, who were dancing nearby. You know, it used to be like I could go to a bar and have a good time on a date, but anyone you've got dipshit like you, but anymore you've got dipshits like you who want to ruin it for everybody else. You've got about 10 seconds to apologize to me. My date and the bartender, dick. Bring your threats, pig. I wait your countdown. We'll see who's left standing. 10, 9, 8, 7. Maybe I'll recoup the value of my drink on your date. She looks attractive enough for a common whore. 6, 5, 4. Mike readied himself into a fighting stance, and an ominously low hum could be heard from his body as he became more annoyed. Meanwhile, Siddiqui's hair started oozing blood and his skin turned into crackling bone-white substance. Mike stood completely unfazed by the startling appearance, though people in the room screamed in terror and began running out of the building. 3, 2, Chichulu, Ampheria, Continua. 1, you're done. The hum from Mike turned into a loud vibration. My skin turned into a translucent, horrific color, and energy seemed to crackle underneath of his skin in indescribable patterns. Indescribable. Mike ran towards Siddiqui at breakneck speeds, so fast that it both broke the sound barrier and made Mike look like a blur of energy. The sheer force of being tackled in such manner knocked Siddiqui back into the stage and sent him crashing into a drum kit. The snapping could be heard from his bones. Chuchulukshton Kelfu Estaki. Blast of fire came from Siddiqui's palms, knocking Mike back and injuring him to some extent. At that point, Lintinia ran over to make sure that he was alright. The fire began to spread through the room, leaping around as if alive, attacking people unlucky enough to have still been in the building. The flames continued to creep up the structure of the building, consuming the support beams that held the building up. Oh no. It's on fire. Well. Siddiqui split blood from his mouth as he continued talking and propped himself up. Looks like I'm not the only one who's been eating a nutritious breakfast. No matter, I hope you like burning because you're all about to get fried. No sooner did he start to stand, with the number of broken bones at that, than Cassidy leaped down off the catwalk onto the stage, a look of dark contempt upon her face. You will not disrupt my evening with my dearest. Instead, you will die painfully. With no remorse, she began stealing Siddiqui's life force as the fire continued to spread. Siddiqui was distracted and seemed to lose control of his magic, and at that point, the fire began to consume him, at the same time that Cassie drained him, a painful fate. It hurts. I'm Siddiqui and I will kill you all. Know my name, for I will kill you. His skin began to bubble and boil from the flames, and from his essence being drained, he began to immolate and vanished in the smoke. From my vantage point, I could swear that I saw him escape. But how would that be possible? Such thoughts were fleeting as the situation around us became grave. Guys, we've got to get the hell out of here. This whole building's going up. And if the fire hits the gas generators in the back room, this whole damn place will be blown. Lynthenia helped Mike up and carried him out, and Cassidy and I left as well, the four of us making some distance from the building. Cassidy seemed lethargic. A few minutes later, the tavern went up in flames, and sections of it exploded, leaving debris and the smell of smoke everywhere. Damn. Just like that, the tavern was gone. Luckily, we were able to make it out mostly unscathed, along with most of the crowd at the building. Some, however, weren't lucky. We got to our vehicles as quickly as we could, leaving the areas as police and fire sirens erupted in the distance, moving closer. Ancient Egypt? How the hell did I arrive here? I don't remember getting here. Wait, who am I? My name is... It is Chris, no, it's... I see a woman. Wait, the woman is me. Well, she's sort of me. I'm seeing through her eyes now, as if it was another lifetime, but how? Why am I losing my sense of identity? This must be one of the previous avatars that the entity Yog Sothoth told me of. I feel my sense of self slipping away as I become more comfortably vested in this role. The life of Chris seemed more and more like a dream that I've woken from. My name is Umara. In this time period, I keep thinking of someone else, of someone that I care about deeply, someone forbidden to me. I cannot and will not keep her waiting. I will meet her at a place that is supposed to be off limits. Met her at a place dubbed unholy and unclean. No one knew who had constructed the altar, but whispers in the darkness implied that it was designed by the Dark Pharaoh himself. Regardless, it was considered taboo and evil, but we felt a magnetism to it, as if it was fated to be a meeting spot for us. She seemed familiar, not only in presence, but in comfort. However, I could not quite place this vague notion. My eyes ran up and down her graceful form, thinking in pure thoughts as I found myself trembling slightly. She slipped upon top of her altar, holding a hand outstretched, beckoning me to come to her. I obliged eagerly, my desire for her increasingly with each step of my feet. I slithered upon the altar with her, touching her body playfully as she grabbed mine, kissing me in return. Had I been more aware of my reality, I would have realized that this girl was also a previous avatar of someone else's. An avatar of Azathoth, making her a forebearer for Cassidy. However, my mind was having problems grasping concepts of my Christopher life at the moment. This girl Muro was the intended for a powerful priest of one of Egyptian deities, and him discovering our romance would surely mean certain death. Their bodies intertwined and meshed together through the evening passionately, and through some dark form of magic. I realized that I was privy to the sound of dark drums and chanting, as well as strange flutes piping from regions unknown, and I somehow felt new life begin within my womb. She smiled at me, kissing my ear, breathing upon it wickedly, letting soft moans trickle into it as though our parts had been played. We lay there against each other for what seemed like an eternity, basking in each other's presence. As one of her hands caressed my abdomen, fully realizing the unnatural and impossible life which we had created together. Without warning, there were shouts of heresy and angry cries as the high priest and his group made their presence known. He held his staff out, anger upon his face, as he uttered words to his god. My beloved's eyes widening as she began to have seizures and scream in agony. Stop this madness. Priest, if you're going to destroy someone, take me instead. The priest crackled as Muro screamed in convulsions, her skin becoming translucent, throaty request of help me coming from within her dry mouth, all the while the anger in me building. Her skin dried and began turning to a gel-like substance as my anger and tear began to flow more and more. The hatred and pure rage building up within me as my beloved's essence died. She reached for me and took my hand as best as she could, while the priest continued laughing at us, taunting me, yet still. She was left of Muro reached out, with both arms wrapping around me, the gel that was skin, now being absorbed into my own pores and flesh. Somehow the new life within my womb was taking her former skin and was going to use it as sustenance. The body continued convulsing until only bones remained, and they continued shaking as though alive, in a terrible manner. I cried and screamed, letting out tears of rage and hate as the priest and his men stood there, just watching and laughing sadistically, blood staining my garments and Muro's skeleton shaking. Her skeleton convulsed and shook yet again, hairline fractures showing up on the surface of it, as it once more started reaching out in its final death cry. In her last action of defiance, the skeleton of Muro gripped its arms around me in a loving embrace, then going completely limp, my eyes began to fill red with rage. And Amaral are, the priest shall die. The priestman left at a flick of his hand, only himself remaining, his arrogance presuming that the magic of his staff and his god would easily finish me. They presumed wrong. An orb of light raced from my hand, surrounding the head and upper torso of the priest. What appeared to be stars and galaxies swirling around within. His eyes and focus became disoriented as he attempted to see past the confusion to no avail. What trickery is this? Stop it, make it stop. He dropped his staff in confusion as the assault on his senses increased. Damn priests. What have you done to me? I am dying. Finish me. Please strike me with a final blow. Grant me mercy. I smirked as the pool of his blood and the sand beneath him began dragging him under into the desert beneath. Goodbye, priest. Huh. Is that a dream? Oh, Cassidy? My eyes started to take in the worldview in front of me. As my senses returned, the realization of my own identity as well as Cassidy's flooding my memory. I couldn't help but be puzzled as to where we were at right now. As before the vision of Egypt, assuming it was a vision, we were outside of the burning husk of the tavern bar, and yet now I was gazing upon the innocence of this magnificently immoral creature as she slumbered, and I thought I knew that she, or rather it, was a killer. I could not help but feel close to her. Her facial features Her scent, her curves, her breathing, all like that of a human woman, and a beautiful one at that. A perfect one, for me anyhow, or as close as one could be. Perhaps that was the point, to entice me to mate with her. But then if that was the case, why would it unmake everything? What does her true form look like? And for that matter, she said that I wasn't even human either. What do I really look like? The thought sent a shiver down my spine as I nuzzled up closer to her, closing my eyes for a few moments, the warmth of my body radiating onto her cool skin. I began to drift off into slumber again, as a dreamlike haze overtook my senses. I saw the microcosm and microcosm of the universe, of everything. For a split second, in her figure I saw it, and it was overwhelming. As I tried to process what I was seeing, a voice interrupted my thoughts. "Wake up, Chris." "What? Who's there?" "It's me, Matthew. Wake up, stand up, get off the bed. You need to wake up if you're going to help Cassidy recover. She's injured." I shook off the haze of fog and snapped back into reality. Alrighty, I'm getting up. Wait, injured? I stumbled to my feet, back off the bed. She was injured and weakened at the club. Linthenia and Mike were as well, but they're recovering. "How can I help you?" You said that I could help. "Anything, I'll do anything." "Funny you should ask. I have the results of the DNA testing that I did on the 4 of you." I shivered, both anxious and terrified to hear them. "And? Your DNA is, how should I put this? Electrochemically, it's the exact opposite of hers, and it's not charged like a normal human cellular structure." "Meaning?" "You're literally doing something that should be impossible. You're bringing energy into this universe from somewhere else. She absorbs it. She's the opposite. She eats it. So how do I help her?" "Feed her." "Feed her? Exactly what I said, man. Make energy. Give it to her, but don't kill us all in the process." Oh God. I leaned over the beautiful body of Cassidy, my eyes focused on her face. While other parts of her anatomy were rather distracted, I felt the warmth radiating through my body. Chaotic power began filling me through my back, exactly where I had remembered the tentacle being connected to me, in the vision of mating with Cassidy. I felt a wave of slight pain, but undeniable pleasure, and yet a sense of absolute madness filled my thoughts, as I began to see colors radiating outward from me towards her. As if on instinct, her eyes and mouth flickered open all at once, and a bright red glow cascaded around her body, matching the blue one of mine. Energy waves began circling and swirling around us, and I could feel her draining me, though some of this seemed to be recycling back to me. The entire universe seemed to blink out for a moment, however this quickly subsided. I leaned over so slowly by instinct, kissing this lovely creature as I felt tentacles of energy swirling around me, pulling me closer. As we kissed, I heard Matt's voice in the background shouting us down. "That's enough, we don't need you to start unmaking the universe." I broke myself away from Cassidy as the energy swirls that dances about us subsided and our appearances returned to their normal fashions. Afterwards, I felt myself collapse into slumber, tired and drained. Sorry, I'm talking low because my voice is dying, so I slept for what must have been some reasonable length of time, unaware of my surroundings, until I began to hear her voices speaking, faintly and in the distance. In a blind stupor, I fumbled around, standing up, and nearly falling down a number of times, making my way through the house or apartment that I was in. Arriving in the living room, the rest of the group was there. Cassidy was on the left nearest me, her hair frizzy, which I have never seen before. Matt was in the back near the television. Mike and Lithenia sat upon the couch. Apparently there was a group meeting going on and everyone was discussing the events that had been transpiring with the nutcases. With the nutcase from the tavern who attacked us, as well as our DNA results. Lithenia appeared to be seriously injured as a large section of her skin was literally gone. Revealing something grotesque beneath, I tried to avoid staring. Holy crap, Lynn, half of your skin is gone. It's not real human skin anyhow. It looks a lot more painful than it is. I'll grow it back in a bit. Maybe I should get one of those cute little bandages with cat pictures on it to put over it. I rolled my eyes. The group turned to look at Matt. After completing the DNA testing as well as contacting some friends in the physics department at Louisville University, Miskatonic University. I have to apologize for being so snappy towards Chris and Cassidy about their rather carnal behaviors. It would seem that it's instinct-driven. You're like two magnetic forces that are drawn to each other, but it really isn't a good idea. You see, at the heart of your atomic structures are an unknown type of energy. There are actually not one, but two possibilities according to my research of the mating process were to be completed. The first, the impregnation of Cassidy would mean that the entire multiverse would essentially be unmade and blink out of reality. The second, the impregnation of Christopher, could mean that you could create an offspring that would be absolutely alien to anything of this world and would be capable of untold destruction. Hold up, how would I get pregnant? I'm male. If you haven't noticed, through your genders appear male and female, it appears to be a matter of convenience and appearance. The forms that all four of you have are facade. You're not human. Nor are you anything that I could categorize as life as we understand it. But I was born. I didn't come to Earth on the back of some rogue comet or in a ship or something. You're connected to an entity that we can't even pretend to fathom. You look human. That's about it. Your current form is a lie, and I can't even begin to understand all the data. It's scary. Those words make my sanity start to crack. What in the hell am I? Do I even have free will? Am I alive or just an extension of Yog-Sothoth? An appendage that he uses to interact with this tiny world? I am no one's toy. Then again, if I'm an avatar, would that make me my own toy? One could lose their mind with this sort of looping, paradoxical thinking. I could feel my body start to shiver, and I stood nervously. Suddenly, I felt a soft touch upon my cheek as Cassidy stepped towards me, caressing my face to calm me down. Relax, Christopher. It'll be alright. You're safe and sound at my home. There is nothing to fear here. Don't overthink the situation. Her words were softer than usual, with the tone that I hadn't heard before, far more nurturing and with a certain kindness in them that I hadn't previously encountered. Your home? It's nice. Thank you, Lynthia and I both live here. Follow me into my bedroom. No hanky-panky. Not for that purpose. I want to talk to Christopher alone. Puzzled as to what lay ahead, I followed her into the bedroom, extremely nervous. So, what are we doing in here? My eyes diverted nervously around the room, drawn momentarily to the large wood frame mirror against the wall between the sink and the television. Something about it seems unnatural. In the light of recent events, and with Lyntheria's agreement with Michael, we've elected to add a certainly girly flair to ourselves in order to add a subterfuge to our identities. Really? Indeed, dearest. However, I require a shower first. Afterwards, I wish you to accompany me somewhere alone. Okay. I stammered nervously. Cassidy suddenly began to disrobe in front of me, to my surprise. Disrobe? Seriously? I apologize. It does make things more tempting, does it not? She winked and grinned at me as she walked into the bedroom. No peeking, really? Oh. I attempted to be shy and slide and peek around the curtain through the glass door that was connected to their bedroom and bathroom. If you are going to try sneaking around the curtain, you might as well make yourself useful and come wash my back. I turned red for a moment and undressed, walking into the shower. Without hesitation, we washed one another's bodies, believe it or not. I was a perfect gentleman about it, using every bit of willpower that I had to restrain myself. It didn't help that Cassie was making things as tempting as possible for me, presenting her body against my own. After the shower was finished, she tossed me a towel and a change of clothes. Who knows where they came from, and she wrapped herself up. The entire room was filled with steamy fog, and a haze through the mirrors still caught my attention. I saw that you noticed the mirror. That will be the method of transportation for where I wish to take you. What? We're using the mirror as taxicab? More of a gate, really. With that, she took her towel off and put her bathrobe on, playfully covering my eyes as she did so. Cassidy, with a sense of humor? Little wonders never cease? About the humans, I know what happened to the man with the weapon upset you, but really, we're above these creatures. I wish that you would embrace what you really are. The humans on this planet are cannon folders and just a temporary thing. They won't be here long. They'll be replaced by other species eventually and be forgotten. A race of large beetle-type life forms will take their place. It doesn't matter. I've grown up as one of them, and even if I believe that I'm not truly one of them, deep down I still care about them. In time you will come to understand the true nature of the universe, of yourself. Then you will let it all go. We'll see, won't we? I suppose so. So much for her newfound sense of humor and softness. Is that the mirror? Oh. Go in the living room and spend time with Michael and Matthew and send Lynthenia in here. It's time for us to change our appearances. Or I can just seduce you. She started pulling back her top, revealing cleavage with a totally serious look on her face. Universe destruction is bad, Cassidy. I'll send her in. Reluctantly walked into the living room. Okay. After a length of time, Lynthenia walked out looking quite stunning with a rather happy smile upon her face. Mike turned towards her and grinned as she winked at him casually. She then turned her face towards me. Chris, Cassie's ready. Go tell her how awesome she looks. Hey Mikey, wanna run to the store and get us some snacks? Him. Okay, I made my way into the dark room, nearly falling over the furniture. Please help me, help me. The girl Samantha cried for help, weakly. Her body was frail and the framework of the bed was trapping her. It was encasing her in a way that her flesh was actually growing into the metal bars that were retaining her. What did I do to deserve this? She thought to herself, as the metal cut into her skin. She had been kidnapped from an activism rally for women's rights. Ironically, now she'd endured torture. Hello, is someone there? Help me, please. Oh, I'll help you feed my God, so he may eventually awaken and liberate this world from all that I know. The gruff-made voice began chanting strange words, and the room started to rumble. Samantha began crying. All she wanted to do was go home now. Dream that would never come. As if a strange fog had been lifted, a giant body part resembling a claw, both solid and yet not, seemed to emerge from above her. She tried to scream. No sound could escape her gnawed lips as the giant claw opened, and a proboscis shoved itself down her throat and body, roughly entering her stomach. Her belly flesh began rippling in waves from top to bottom, as if an oceanic tide was flowing over the skin. A pumping noise could be heard from the creature as it sent a fluid of sorts into her, and she felt too weak to fight anymore. Suddenly, the creature's sections quickly snapped down around her, one of the claws pushing up into her lower body and inserting a tube into her. The liquid continued pouring from the behemoth into her body. As tears rolled down her eyes, her flesh began turning to a gel-like substance, and a squishing noise could be heard. Her body began to jiggle and convert more and more into a gelatin, the color of the flesh changing and parts of her face receding as the metamorphosis occurred. The semi-liquefied body of Samantha Gert started draining down over so slowly through the bed frame. The proboscis of the creature widened, slowly sucking up the gelatin form of Samantha. As insane laughter echoed in the background of the room. Muffled noises resembling screams could be heard coming from the corpse, although how it still remained alive was a mystery that could not be solved. The claw clamped down as the rest of the body was enveloped, and the abomination began retracting into the foggy ceiling from which it came. The shadowy figure began to step out from behind the darkness, crackling with glee after the wicked deed had been done for its master. Now that I have appeased my god for the day, I'll come make all of you pay who left me in this state, though perhaps I should be thanking you. No, I'll just torture you and then kill you. I'll destroy everything that matters to you all. The charred and bubbling humanoid figure walked to the window of the bloodied building, looking out upon the distant city, smiling wickedly, for it would be his stalking grounds. My eyes adjusted to the light, though I barely caught my footing in time. Just as I did so, Cassidy flickered the light switch on. Wow. Cool skull dress. Oh, with an inverted pentagram? Oh, I like that dress. I want it. Oh, someone buy me that dress, please. Jesus. I need that dress right fucking now. So how do you like it? I struggled with words as I could feel the heat in my body rising and my pulse racing. To say that I was stunned and aroused would have been an understatement. You look beautiful. She smiled and turned like a model on a catwalk, spinning in a circle gracefully upon one foot. Afterwards, to make things worse, she walked over in front of me, leaning back upon me and embracing me, pressing our bodies firmly together. Tease much? I cannot help myself. You're frustrating me, you know that, right? I love it, and so do you. She winked, deviously softly kissing my lips as her caressed my nose. Afterwards, she pointed to the mirror, and we focused our attention to it. You'll need to activate the mirror. Activate it? How? Concentrate. Think about how you are the gate. Not at the mirror. You're just using the mirror as a method of transportation. It means to an end. Sorry. So I'm going to be turning it into a portal? Exactly, dearest. And when you think of where you want to go, think of me or the creature that you saw when we were melting together with the flute players around it. Oops, wait, you're talking about freaking Azathoth? I shuddered with fear. You're wanting me to take us to that thing? The throne room of Azathoth. Yes, don't worry, you won't see it as it truly is, otherwise you'd lose your mind. I concentrated. As if in slow motion, my hand touched the smooth, silky surface of the mirror, albeit skeptically, and a ripple began moving across it. The ripple from where my hand made contact with the mirror turned a glowing blue color, and the water-like surface reminded me of a certain science fiction franchise portal, which I shall remain nameless. Stargate! Chevron set engaged. I remarked sarcastically, halfway trying to calm my own nerves. As I pushed my arm through the polarized mirror, I start whistling the theme to the previously mentioned science fiction show out loud. Relax, dearest. You can walk through. Do not be startled by what you will witness, and walk straight ahead a good amount of feet when you emerge on the other side. Straight ahead. Alright, I can do that. Keep moving. You must keep moving. Cassidy followed through behind me with a hand on my shoulder since I was seized by strange lights and sounds while traveling through the gate. Everything was jumbled. I tried walking forward, but bumped into what looked like a statue. The size and orientation of object just felt wrong. It took a moment for my awareness to align. What appeared to be an enormous statue with an eyeball was looking directly at me. I then heard a familiar voice behind me, and I realized that I was laying upon the ground. She looked beautiful, like those picturesque Roman Greek goddesses you see as statues in museums. Vibrant and absolutely alluring. I took note that her outfit has changed as well. I surmised that since this was Azathoth's realm, Cassidy would likely warp reality here. He was completely smitten with the view of her, barely taking note of the writhen monstrosity floating above the gate. Cassidy made her way over to me as I was in shock for a moment, staring at the floating thing above the gate. It seemed to emanate an odd, barely audible musical sound. I sat frozen. The creature seemed to slowly shift color, shape, and even texture. As I watched it floating, both entranced and frightened, the voice of Cassidy snapped me out of it, and I turned to see her extending her hand to me, to pull me up. Do not worry about the creature. It guards this court and will not harm you. It can see your true form. Well, that's ironic, since I haven't even seen my own true form. I stood up, and then taking notice of the true nature and ridiculous size of my surroundings. The chamber was massive, and the large altar at the far end looked to have dried blood on it. The statue was tied up with chains, and yet like an old work of art, the ominous eyeball seemed to be well trained on me. It hit me out of nowhere that I'd seen this place before, in what I thought at the time was a nightmare. It happened when I was an underclassman dorming in an old house in New England. See the events of Arcane City live? Yeah, okay. Cassidy, yes, dearest. Is that eye on the statue moving? Indeed, the eyeball is moving. It is curious. It is not a statue. The creature that you see is an embryonic form of your child. Perhaps Mike should give you a cigar? I remained silent for a few seconds, pondering the ramifications of what she had just said. Child? But how? I remember Matt specifically mentioning the two possibilities if Cassie and I were to complete our mating cycle, and it certainly appeared that this could be one of the two alternative that he had mentioned, a powerful entity being created, or the universe unraveling. And this looked to be the former, but we haven't mated. Is this some sort of temporal paradox? Did we wind up completing the mating cycle at some point in the future? Is time travel involved here? So many questions, so few answers. Damn it, I've seen that altar before, but where? Perhaps if I take a close look, it will hit me, or maybe if I think hard about it. I'm trying to remember where I've seen it. Expect it. Yeah, go expect it. Cassie raised an eyebrow curiously as we walked over to the altar. As we arrived, she sat on the steps of it, merely staring at me, seeming to anticipate my movements. The large, chained-up, intimidating creature kept this singular eye focused on me, everywhere that I moved. I began to look at the top of the altar closely, avoiding touching the bloody areas, and I was afraid to ask where the flesh blood had come from. It was at this point that my memories of another place began to take hold. What is happening to me? I'm thinking back beyond the veil, beyond time. I'm flowing back through the tentacles that connect me to the greater mass of Yog-Sothoth, and out through a different group to another avatar. Oh my god, I remember now. I remember it all. The avatar Azathoth from that time period, and I made it on that altar. Or rather, the avatar Yog-Sothoth that existed then in ancient Egypt was impregnated right before Azathoth's avatar was murdered. It was that bastard, the priest. He was jealous of our bond. No wonder I, or the other me, the female avatar, killed him. But this time I recalled more than just the previous flashbacks. I saw a vision of the birthing process, which was not entirely pleasant for me. I had stood in the middle of the golden chains, which was an incubator of sorts, as well as being a birthing chamber. I started chanting something, and my entire body started to bleed out. It's a hard sensation to describe. The pain was overwhelming as my skin changed and form mutated and swelled. However, there was a pleasurable sensation as well. It was almost like a release, and it's hard to put into words. I could feel that my end was coming, but it was not a concept for me. I remember our progeny ripping from me and absorbing me as nutritions. This was the day that I died. With my last view, I saw the altar slowly start to shift in my location to its resting place, here in the chamber of Azathoth. Here the creature would be nurtured in its embryonic state for thousands of years by the guardians of the chamber, the flutists of Azathoth, who kept it asleep, as well as the various avatars that might pass through here. Okay. Nothingness for moments, and then all-encompassing wave of knowledge is a hard thing to decipher. In fact, it could drive one insane. Unfortunately for me, with the knowledge that I've gained, I feared that I was already on my way there. My mind was slipping into a dark abyss of immorality and chaos, and the visions aren't helping. I started having a flood of memories of other lives. Most of them were, however, a jumble, and little more than glimpses and flashes. In fact, some of these other avatars of Yog-Sothoth didn't even exist in this universe. This led me to comprehend that the outer gods are a special case. In all of the different versions of the multiverse, there is only one of each of them. I snapped back to reality, hearing a voice in the distance from my modern life. Cool. Are you alright? You seemed distant for a moment, and your eyes were filled with stars. I remembered the altar and how our child was born. It wasn't very pleasant. I'm certain it wasn't. This creature had the potential to be one of the most powerful beings in the universe. A humanoid body could only host it for a short time. It's related to the dimensions of the life form. Now join me, my dearest. Cassidy pointed towards the doors at the far wall of the chamber. Where are we going now? To enjoy the view. Puzzled, I followed her. We haven't even gone through the door yet, and I can already tell you that there's a great view from here. Wow. Cassidy chuckled slightly before touching the door handle. Once she did, the doors turned to portals. Follow me. I followed closely behind her as we went through. Walking up the strange exit, I took note of the odd lighting outside and the bizarre wall texture of the corridor. I then made my way outside the stairs, only to be met by a breathtaking sight. She stood there waiting for me. Her outfit had changed slightly yet again. After tearing my eyesight away from Cassidy, I also noticed the skies were what one could describe only as impossible in nature. There was no atmosphere to speak of, and a blue glow permeated everything. I didn't realize that the castle in this courtyard was the one that I had vision of in my previous dreams, before I had actually met Cassidy in person. In my dream, however, it looked much more terrifying and ominous, which led me to wonder if perhaps the structure that I was now seeing was a facade for the benefit of my own sanity. Okay. It's rather tranquil and serene here, is it not? That's one way of looking at it. It also doesn't look to conform to the known laws of physics. I shouldn't be able to breathe here. Do Mike and Lithinia know about this place? Indeed, Lean brought Mike here while you were still passed out earlier. Alone? I'm not asking what they did here, knowing those two. I smirked, fairly certain that she caught the innuendo I had implied. Sorry. We strolled around the courtyard, taking in the serenity of it all. Part of me, strangely enough, preferred the more macabre-looking interpretation of it all that I had seen in my vision. Something of note, the doors that we came through to exit to this courtyard can be used to reach any location anywhere. Some sort of quantum entanglement type thing. Something along those lines, yes. Nice, so theoretically, I could go anywhere on Earth and save a lot of fare for airline tickets. It'd be a unique place for a picnic. Perhaps I'll take you up on the idea at some point. Or for that matter, I could send Sirowin here with you for that. In the meantime, we need to collect a humanoid sacrificial offering for a child. What? Indeed, we must do so. This is our child we are speaking of, and I know that you instinctively wish to help it. She did have a point, as twisted as that seemed to my own mind. What about those cultists, the cults of Chichulu and of Dragon that Yog-Sothoth is wanting us to exterminate? That should be manageable. The one who attacked us at the tavern would have been a good specimen, had not he been immolated alive. Well, surely they have a nest of sorts in the city somewhere. It'd just be a matter of doing the research and figuring out where they're hiding. We might not have to hunt them down. They're quite organized. Many have infiltrated different sections of society. They may wind up coming after us, the people we know, as a revenge. They're what you would consider to be rather insane. Oh, that's great. One other thing, and it may be difficult for you to master, but you have the ability not only to create gates to other locations, but you also... She paused hesitantly as if attempting to discern if she could reveal the next bit of information or not. You can also create gates to other times and dimensions. At first, it will be easiest for you to use a reflective surface, such as a mirror, but eventually you won't even need that. What? I can make gates? You are the gate. I stood speechless, attempting to fathom everything that I've been learning recently. It was as if the entire fucking universe that I had thought I knew was a complete and total lie. I made my way back to the stairs, and the arch with Cassidy following behind me. I figured that we needed to get down to business with locating the cultists before they struck, if possible. Taking your time, just like a woman. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. I know that our true forms aren't even human. And you're not really a human female, but I felt like being ironic. Ahem. Without warning, Cassie had appeared all the way at the bottom of the staircase, right by the portal. Hey, that's not fair. You teleported or something. She grinned slightly and stood leaning against the wall, looking at her left wrist, as in letting out a small sigh. As if I was taking forever. I couldn't help but notice that her face and the curvature of her body looked extremely inviting in the dark, macabre glow of this place. Just like a man, you took forever to get here. I guess you were too stubborn to stop and ask for directions. She smirked at me triumphantly, and I let out a small chuckle. We've been around Mike and his one-liners too much, I guess. At that point, just to essentially be an ass as well as to get her back, I walked up to her, pushed her hair to the side, and nibbled on her neck gently while running my fingertips down her back. I could feel her back arch and her body tense up, and I noticed goosebumps on her skin as she let out a breathy moan. You had better stop that, or we won't be a universe left to rid us of cultists, she said softly as her hand ran down my stomach, stopping just shy of the top of my jeans. Calm thyself, perv. I grinned and winked, smacking her loudly on behind. Keep it up, I whistled instantly as I took her hand and walked through the door with her. I'm the kind of person that skips sex scenes in movies and like love scenes, so to me, like, there's a lot of love scenes in this. But I guess it's part of it, you know? Children of Cthulhu. It is his will that we take revenge. My second in command, Father Avarice, has done research into those who thwarted our attempt for mass sacrifices at the Tavern nightclub. We was able to identify the school that one of them attends. How is the priest? We will go there for needed sacrifices to our Lord. Any questions? What's the name of the school? Middletown High. And as a bonus, there's a preschool there as well. We'll start there first. The priest began uttering some words, and his skin crawled around. Flesh changing color, his appearance became more menacing. Green. But before we embark on our holy crusade, we feast. I'll slice the turkey. I had to give it plenty of drugs to make it drowsy so it would shut the fuck up. Chop! The cult leader's small axe swung down hard into the gurgling baby, a large amount of blood squirting out of his chest rhythmically with its heartbeat, which was now slowing down. Laying in the front of the child was the severed head of its teenage mother, a look of absolute horror frozen permanently on her face. The cult leader dipped his fingers into the pool of the child's blood, slowly licking it off, each finger one by one, letting out a grin as he did so. At least the infant had stopped gurgling now. Its mother was somewhat attractive though, perhaps a worthy dating experience for the cult leader? Oh yeah. Let's eat. Here comes the choo-choo. He picked the body of the baby up from the ground, the pool of blood sticking partly to the child as it was raised in the air. The cult leader's sharpened teeth tore into the soft skull cap of the infant, pulling out brain matter and chewing on it. He paused for a moment to encourage the others to hack off edible pieces of the dead little brat for food. He left the baby corpse to the others, picking up the severed head of the teenage mother and kissing it with the tentacle that came out from his mouth. She's totally asking for it. Dressed like this, he thought to himself. Wow. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways that I enjoy your company. Perhaps you'd like some of your child for dinner. I'm a very good chef, almost a professional. Want a chicken leg? He ripped the child's right leg off with his free hand in a loud snap, audible as the bone and flesh tore away from the body, offering it to the mother's mouth, a dejected look on his face when she obviously didn't take it. Wait, isn't her head cut off? He stood up holding the severed head in one hand as he looked at the cultists. Enough eating, bring the vehicle around. It's time to give tributes to our lord. That's a good picture. Come on, baby, Dad's taking you out for a night on the town. Put on your Saturday's best. The former military vehicle pulled up. Father Avar is driving, and the two other cultists in the back. Buckle up for safety, baby. We wouldn't want to break any traffic laws, he smirked, climbing up into the SUV with the head. How about another kiss for luck, baby? Alright, let's go. Father Avaris, drive. I've got to have her back at a decent hour. So that's the grand tour of this location. In the meantime, if we are going to locate the cult members as efficiently as possible, I would like to... Uh-oh. Avatar Al-Zakam Al-Abad, come to my location and join with me. Mind explaining why and what's with the name you just called me? Step through the gate now. You were just summoned, weren't you? I suppose so. Step to the mirror, go to Yog-Sothoth. Obviously, if it summoned you, it has to be an urgent matter. What about you? I'll meet you back at the apartment once you are finished. Cassidy put her arms around me, giving me a hug, and then saw me off to the portal. I noticed that the field on the mirror surface was different this time. It no longer looked like ripples in water. This time it was more like a space or energy floating in stellar patterns. You look handsome, by the way. Eh? As I was stepping in the mirror. It was hard to see myself through the energy field on its surface, but from what I could make out of my own reflection, it almost looked like I was glowing blue. No time for this, I muttered as I pushed ahead. Oh shit, that surprised me. I'm gonna start a fucking Backstreet Boys song. Here we go. As I stepped through, I became disoriented for only an infinitively short period of time. Once I emerged, I was in a strange hallway with an eerie glow along the walls, floor, and ceiling. I felt drawn forward to a chamber ahead, so I pressed onwards. Once I arrived in the chamber, I looked around. The interior walls were glowing strangely and slowly shifting in color. Though they had an organic appearance to them, I briefly touched one of them. As my hand made contact with the freshly glowing wall, I heard a cacophony of voices, all in different pitches and ranges with my head. They were speaking languages both known and unknown to me. Some were inhuman. Suddenly, I seemed to be frozen in place. I immediately felt a number of things touching my legs. As I glanced down, I identified what I can only describe as a number of iridescent globes floating strangely around my lower body. Cool. I then realized that the room was glowing in eerie color and the walls were brighter than before. I also came to the realization that the orbs around me weren't from the walls, they were from me. In fact, it was my lower body that was turning into the spheres and spreading out across the room. An oddity, as I would expect to feel pain of some sort, and my body parts expanding out into myriads of objects. I realized that not only could I see through my own eyes, but from the vantage point of every single orb as well. It was as though these things were an extension of my being. They then connected to the glowing walls of the room. I began seeing through the lives more and more avatars of Yog-Sothoth. I started to witness their powers, actions, and motivations, some of which were ridiculously strange, chaotic, and mad. My mind was gigantic, and I glimpsed other worlds, other timelines, other planes of reality, some horrifying alien in nature and others almost identical to my own. My body was nearly completely dispersed at this point as orbs, and it really made no difference to me. I was enjoying this feeling of omnipotent presence across the boundaries of the multiverse and glimpsing the lives and events that inhabited it provided amusement to me. Of course, I cared little for these creatures that inhabited said realms, as they were merely insects from my vantage point. They would be born, live, and die. It made little difference. I was the ultimate observer, watching and occasionally influencing the tiny chess pieces on the board. Some of them worshipped me, which I found slightly interesting to an extent. Wait, what? What am I saying? Apparently I'm not joining with the mass bulk of Yog-Sothoth, and it's hard to know where I, as an avatar, end and where it begins. I can understand what Azathoth's avatar Cassidy meant now with her perceptions. Human are a very minor species, eventually they'll be replaced. That's the nature of things. But no, I can't think like that. I have to maintain my humanity. Yet I'm not human. These glow things radiantly floating and changing are me. They may in fact the most powerful form of energy in the multiverse, which is frankly terrifying. What if I used them and lost control? I could eat away an entire world and all of the life upon it, without hesitation, without fear, without sympathy. No, not just entire worlds. I could wipe entire galaxies, entire universes. Everything except perhaps Azathoth, Shub-Niggurath, Nyarlathotep, and a few other perhaps, even them. No, I refuse. I'm making a vow right now not to use these things, the building blocks of my true form, any place except here, to confer with the greater bulk of Yog-Sothoth. Okay. Okay. So from what I understand, there's gotta be initial sacrifice of an innocent to open the gate in the school for Chichulu's minions to come through. I'll gladly do that. Give me 5 minutes. Oh shit, here we go. I love jumping and running and playing and skipping. It's so fun and neat. I'd rather get back to the classroom so I can play with my /gurgle gurgle. Bud began to erupt from the small girl, a whimper and scream audible as well as her choking upon her own hemoglobin. Oh jeez. Father Avarius hoisted the toddler up in the air, invoking things from outside our world as the sacrifice's lamb was slaughtered. the tentacle from his mouth ripping into her back and drinking from her wounds. Little child, life has been forfeit, so I can open a portal to bring these ancient things that worship our Lord to children to your school. Take heart, your death will please our master and his mighty followers. Father Avarice slammed the axe into her as she continued choking to death on her own blood, tears trailing down as the tiny child's face. Die, you wretched little fucking child. Appease and feed our Lord. Hug, hup, tharak, shug, nithrin, ut, chuk, ug, ing, ug, ik, chuchulu, ya. Father Avarice tossed the death child on the floor as portals started to open in various locations throughout the school. As the portals opened all through the school, Father Avarice continued massacring people gleefully who were in the halls. God bless the little children. Please make their flesh delicious enough to enjoy from my conception. Their blood taste especially sweet when they're flayed alive at 7 years old or younger. Amen. Father Avarice mauled a number of students and staff, thereby increasing the strength of the portal openings exponentially. The frick? Beasts are loose in the land of innocence. Oh, this is cool. Amorphous creatures taking what they want. Leaving nothing behind but death, nothing else, nothing. The end of the human race is near. No one could hear the students screaming and begging for mercy as the school had been cut off from the outside world. The school itself was shifting into a dark dimension of creatures that should not exist. The carnivorous entities that had invaded the school were not selective. They fed on both children and teachers alike. The teachers went insane immediately, and the students followed shortly after. In fact, some students killed each other. The body count began to rise sharply as the larger amorphous entities entered the school, pushing the insanity level even higher. The most studious of the students' bodies seemed to succumb to the chaos quickly, as they ran around tearing out fellow students' eyeballs with pencils, raping their peers and cutting open their flesh and smearing blood upon their cells. Even familiar faces were not immune to the chaos. Help me, please, somebody, help me. Her screams went unanswered as most of the students were either dead, insane, or comatose at this point. The chalkboard had turned into a living entity moments before, and poor Melissa had the misfortune of being near it. A large gelatinous tentacle reached out of the chalkboard creature, grabbing her tightly and dragging her towards its fluctuating, liquefied surface as she struggled to no avail. A human-shaped, upper torso reached out of the chalkboard, covering her mouth as to silence her screams. These drawings, pictures look really, really cool. I love them. Yeah, like this right here, that's really, really fucking cool, man. A strange squishy sound came from the other side of her as the top of a skeleton emerged, grabbing her roughly by the lower body and her blood-stained hair, yanking her forcefully into the chalkboard. Help me, please, oh God, please help me. The liquid was now covering most of her body, which was converting to and joining the fluid itself. Melissa had now changed through to where she could breathe the liquid, her eyes wide as the creatures around her snarled, and her thought patterns were rewritten and reorganized. Silence, a gentle hush swept over the room now, as all of the remaining life was either dead or dying. Inside of her mind, Melissa screamed, or rather inside what was left of her mind. Oh, she's just laughing now. Shit. Ooh. I am many avatars on many worlds, spread like tentacles reaching out to the multiverse. These tentacles do my bidding and are me, yet not exactly me, with a partial illusion of their own free will. On variants of your world, I was a young man who kept reappearing at a Soviet camp, a future soldier piloting a powerful mech, an Egyptian priestess to my own cult, a dangerous nomad, many others, and now you. I have many facets, but the avatars are different, more powerful, and specifically connected to me. They have purpose. They are me, and I am them. The difference between the two is simply illusory, minus a small bit of autonomy. I will now return you to the avatar of Azathoth, Cassidy as you know her. Execute my directives and deal with the minions of the Great Old Ones before they cause issues to our agenda. Oh, I want that inverted pentagram dress. Christopher, you just appeared here back at the apartment. It will take you a moment for your senses to adjust, but do not delay. Whoa, what's the rush? Whoa, I'm dizzy. I believe that you forgot that you're supposed to attend classes again starting today. Damn it. I have a perfect record for the year. She's right. In all of the revelations that have been surfacing, I forgot about my more mundane responsibilities, including school. I feel as though something isn't right. A massive amount of people have been sacrificed in an attempt to awaken Chichulu. What could it be? Wait, she's right. Something feels off. Yo, pretty boy, we need to go check this out. I can feel the earth around here, and your high school feels like it's weaving in and out of a pocket dimension, and it kind of gets on my nerves when people misplace the dirt and pretty flowers. I'm also concerned about the safety of Sarahwin. Crap, she's right. I told myself that I would protect Sarahwin. I hope I haven't failed. Use the windows, concentrate on making a gate to the school. I can do that. Where's Mike? He went to the store to grab some drinks and snacks, so I texted him. He should be back soon. Leave that fancy gate of yours open so he can follow us. I concentrated on the window slowly. That side of the room went black, and then... Mike walked in right as we were about to enter the gate. I could see the school through a haze on the other side of the opening. Mike, something's happened at my school. We're going to check it out. We think the cultists either have attacked it or are attacking it. Mike looked at me a bit worried. On his normally cheeky expression. Let's go before I lose my nerve. We stepped cautiously, looking around to make certain no cultists were nearby. We walk through the portal and end up to the building. I wonder if the cultists are still here. Oh, yeah. Oh my god. The sight was bloodbath. Bodies and skeletons littered the floor, and the bones of small children, teenagers, and faculty were piled up indiscriminately. I resisted the urge to vomit from the overwhelming scent of fluids and the sights of maggots. The stench of death was foul and beyond pungent. I felt the blood stick to my toes as we walked through the remains. It was unbearable. I wondered how much of these bones and blood came from people that I knew. This is extremely fresh. I'd say no more than about 30 minutes old. I held back tears as we continued on into the preschool section of the school. Walking in, I was taken aback by the murdered toddlers covered in wounds and blood, as well as one kid that had been impaled by a sword. Another child was halfway embedded in the floor. A teacher stood facing away from us. The breathing coming from the teacher didn't sound right. Suddenly, she whipped around and slowly came at me, growling with an unnatural tone. It was obvious that whoever she originally was, she was no longer human and was likely intent on killing me. I had to think fast, so I decided to... Okay, this is where I have to save, right? Now, how do you save? How do I save you, game? Oh, settings right here on the bottom right. Okay, save. Empty save. Got it. We got it? We got it? Perfect. Okay. Use my powers to attack. I held my palms out towards her as she came towards me, obviously with ill intent. It was then that the silver ray emitted from my hands. Yeah! Yeah! Overkill. Its body, as if from an institutional impulse, scrambled frantically, feeling for its head, which was no longer there. It started collapsing in a mess, and at the point I realized that I wasn't able to stop firing on it, a bright light interrupted my view as I collapsed into darkness. Hello, is anyone there? Where am I? No, is this where it glitches? Oh no. Oh no, we're good. We're still good. Oh, how long has it been? Almost 3 hours? My vision cleared as I awoke on the chilly cement of a cold sidewalk. This was Old Louisville near downtown. How the hell did I get here? I took a look at my phone briefly in an attempt to call the others. At that point, I noticed that the date and time were syncing up wrong after an update from the cell towers. Specifically, the date and year read incorrectly. This struck me as odd. Yeah, man, check out my brand new ride, a voice said, coming from outside the bar across the street, but the vehicle was an older body style. I came to the realization that although it seemed impossible, my attack on the teacher thing had somehow thrown me back in time. I've also seen enough time travel movies to be quite wary of changing history, so I quickly hid from the people roaming around nearby. Lucky it was late at night, and not many folks were out since I'd snuck in the bar before with Mike and Matt. I knew about the bus routes. The oddball bus would run through at this time of night for bar patrons. I hid for a bit, praising the loud engine of the mechanical giant that eventually pulled up, making its near nightly pickup. All aboard! You going south, kid? Yes, sir. I paid the driver. Boarding the creepy and empty bus, something about it seemed vaguely familiar. I think that I rode it as a kid to go to a campground, but I brushed off that everlasting summer of my youth. Oh, checking the house, no one was home. It was a winter time around the holidays, and this time of the year my counterpart from this time period, and my parents would have been out of town on vacation. I took care not to mess anything up in the house, as I didn't want to alter the timeline, but I was exhausted mentally. I flopped down on my bed and took a nap. Oh no! The solitude of relaxation of slumber. My mind wandered the abyss, sifting through dreams, images, until something about this felt familiar. This was one of my dream visions. In fact, the place in the vision wasn't too far from home. Cracks began to form in the ground as both the pavement and building changed colors. Better yet, what just happened to the walls of the alleyway? It felt as though a portal was opening. I then noticed something making its way up the fleshy left section of the wall that resembled an eye. It looked humanoid. The wall started resetting its appearance to its normal form while the humanoid figure began taking on the shape of a well-endowed human female. Something about its presence was calling me to it. The game glitch? Oh, I think it worked this time. There you go. Tentacles flurried and wriggled from the eerie yet alluring omnious entity as its rubbing skin took on decidedly feminine humanoid features. The arc of the sun began to slowly creep over the horizon, giving daylight to the city. The girl looked and felt so familiar. Cassidy? She had previously told me that she couldn't remember anything before she appeared 2 years prior to us meeting. Was I witnessing her birth? She appeared to struggle with standing up for the first time, all the while I could hear her in my mind. Her body had almost finished its transformation into the beautiful creature that I knew. Come to me, were the words that softly caressed my subconscious as the manifestation of her life form seemed to peer at me through my dreamscape, beckoning me to seek her out even if the consequences of our courtship would be... Oh, you're making me want to dye my hair red again. Clothes formed over her newly created flesh. The vision faded into darkness, and I fell back into slumber. Ugh, time for school already? Wait, no, it's not. After a few moments, the fog in my head lifted, and I remembered my situation. Time travel. I remember now I have been exhausted the previous evening, so I came back to my home, set my alarm, and went to sleep. Today I will try to get back to the proper time. Good morning, world. I stood up and stretched, feeling much better now and anxious to get back to my own time. It didn't feel like walking on eggshells for the next 2 years to avoid causing a paradox. I made my way out of the city. The mirror to Azathoth's chamber was in Cassidy's apartment, and the doors there had time portals that would be my way home. After walking for that seemed to be forever, I finally arrived at the apartment location and went in, venturing up the elevator to Cassidy and Lindinia's apartment. I had expected the door to be locked, yet oddly it wasn't. I apprehensively made my way inside. Okay, so this wasn't a good sign. There was no furnishings other than the ones that the apartment came with. The TV wasn't here, nor was Lindinia's bike, which usually hung from the ceiling. That place looked brand new and unused. I then realized my mistake. My dream vision from last night must have been real. If Cassidy just arrived on Earth, she hasn't rented this place yet. Stupid oversight on my part. The rest of my hopes fled when I rounded the corner near the bathroom. No mirror. How was I to get home now? Well, can't you do it from any mirror? Or not? Well, this isn't going to work, I said aloud, confused as to what to do. I sure as hell wasn't going to wait around for time to play catch-up. Had I had the foresight, I would have brought a sports almanac back in time with me and play some bets, yeah. The best I could figure was to keep watch on the place and on Cassidy, so I'd know when the mirror was placed here. In the meantime, I decided to get out of the way of society for now. I decided to head to the woods due to the lack of people there. Meanwhile, Linthenia, it won't hurt to skip class for the day and hang out in the woods. I wonder if there are any new games to download on my cell phone. Hey, who's there? Initially, I thought that Linthenia had noticed me. Odd that of all people, my woodland retreat caused me to stumble upon her. I'll bet I was in hiding. However, I felt familiar presence nearby, and it made itself known quickly enough. It was none other than the newly born Cassidy, meeting Linthenia for the first time. From a linear perspective, Anyhow, oops. Who are you, a goth chick, and why are you bugging me in the woods? You have been destined to become my closest associate since you were born. You are different than other people, you are not? Are you not? You can make the ground tremble with merely a thought. How did you know that? I'm quite perceptive in these matters. Also, I know more about you than you know of yourself, and this is wisdom that I wish to impact on you. Oh, really? Wait, I remember this. Was this in another game? Wait, maybe not. My pulse began racing from what I was seeing. Was Cassidy kissing Linthenia? Okay, definitely not a kiss. At least not a normal one. After the kiss, Linthenia stopped back, dazed. She let out a scream as her body started changing color and a pool of what looked like blood formed beneath her. What I had initially thought was a giant tree came to life, stomping and walking towards her, letting out a strange harmony as if singing. The now gorish Linthenia thing started cackling manic. I can't say that. Yeah. That was from the other game. I'm super sure about this. Without warning, and as if driven by a voice within my head, I suddenly stepped out of the clearing for all the world to see. At least for Cassie and the newly grotesque Linthenia to see. Howdy, y'all, I said in my best exaggerated country accent. How are you not losing your senses and going into a comatose state? Or a berserk fit of madness from witnessing this entity? She pointed to the Linthenia thing. I guess I'm just that damn special, I smirked. Newfound confidence and resolve burned within me, pushing me to do whatever needed to be done to get home ASAP. This was the best way. Timeline be damned. Linthenia, I noticed, was quickly reforming into her normal bodily shape. Watching the interaction between myself and Cassidy with an unusual silence. You're him, aren't you? I felt it before I even stepped out of hiding. Who's the cutie? And by the way, does anyone have any cookies and milk? I'm hungry all of a sudden. I laughed right after her first transformation. Must be when Lynn acquired her infamous metabolism and sense of ridiculous lust. Then again, Shub-Niagara is warped. Fertility entity after all. He is the reason that I was born, I believe, and yet something is off. Good catch, Cassidy. I'm the one you're supposed to be searching for, but I'm not from this time period. I'm from a couple of years in the future. It's a long story, but we got into it with some corrupted life forms and some cultists. I paused, wondering how much I should reveal about the future. Hell with it. I wasn't quite aware of my full capabilities, and apparently I messed up when attacking one of those things. It kicked me back in time. Now I'm trying to get home. They both looked at each other, puzzled, and then looked back at me. So you're after this one. Goth chick? Well, he's got a nice bulge in those jeans, so I say go for it, girlfriend. I burst out laughing while Cassidy's expression remained one of the call-outs longing. I nearly pounced on Cassidy and then there as she got close to me, but I stopped myself. Through sheer willpower, taking her hands in mine instead, she let out a moan of pleasure, whispering, "Please take me." I can't as much as I want to. I'm holding steady to a promise that I made to future you. I'm going after someone who I think you're somehow related to, a Sirwin Solaris. Well, that whole thing, you'll be pleased to know that she was very fond of your faithfulness and attention. The two of you lost your innocence to one another after all. Wait, is the past and you won't even meet her for a couple of years? Why are you talking about her in the past tense? And I lose my virginity to Sirwin? The revelation stunned me, and yet there was concern about the way that this version of Cassidy was speaking of Sirwin. Suddenly, a voice in my head reminded me about getting home. I'm getting sidetracked here. I need to go home. Do you know where a certain portal there is? The mirror that belonged to one of our old avatars in Arizona in a museum. That avatar lived in the time of the Old West. As they call it, I haven't acquired it yet, but honestly, you don't need it. I'll help you. One more thing, in order not to disrupt the timeline and give me even more of a headache, you two have to keep meeting me here, a secret from future me in a couple of years when we meet for the first time. Understood, dearest. I smiled as a burst of energy appeared around Cassidy's right hand. It became disturbingly bright, and then everything went dark as I concentrated on getting back to my home time period. I'm not inhaling because I'm not enjoying myself. I'm inhaling because I'm losing my voice. I'm trying to So it's good. I like this. This is really good. The universe before me slowly began to fade into a discernible view. Several creatures lay dead on the ground of the preschool classroom, including the eye-headed teacher thing that I encountered when my time-traveling joyride began. I worried if I had made it back to the same time that I had left, not remembering to look at my phone's display, probably out of nervousness at the surroundings. I roamed the halls, cautiously finding signs of death, yet no life whatsoever. Eventually, hearing screams from the gym, I decided to check it out. I came upon my group surrounding and torturing an eviscerated man-thing. Chris, there you are. After we got into it with the eyeball critter, you vanished in a blue light. He paused. We've been gone for about 30 minutes. This is Father Alvarez, second in charge of the bastards that did all this. What the hell happened? They sacrificed innocents to Chichulu. It opened a portal, allowing entities through. I've been draining this fool. She smiled. Calmlessly, it turns out that the man we fought at the tavern had been reborn and is the cult leader, and he's out for a blood. Great. What do we do with this one? I have plans for him, she smirked. He will make a fantastic meal for a child to be. Father Alvarez screamed. Linthenia poked him gleefully and giggled. But first, I get at least a bite right. Her teeth proceeded to grow upper sharp as she bit off his finger, crunching it. Where's Sirwin? I stared at the man angrily. Oh, her. We have to ask your leader. He had better not have harmed a single hair on her head, or I'll flay every one of you bastards. Cassidy, feed this one to our child. We left the school building. Cassidy took Father Alvarez to her child, and I later invited everyone to my place to do research. So before I was reborn with my current sexy figure, I held a doctorate, and I was a professor named Lynn Kalika. Oh, it's Kalika. Why did I not recognize the Lynn? Okay, never mind. Okay. I learned some stuff on the computer that might come in handy here. You a professor? Wow, I can't imagine that. I bet I'm capable of a lot of things you can't imagine, Mikey. Hey, by the way, Chris, do you have any cookies or candy bars? Research make me hungry. I pointed out to the kitchen that she left and came back with a handful of snacks. Lynn went to work on my computer looking through databases. First, we look for the guy's name. Siddiqui, right? Not too many in Louisville. Next, I get into a license plate check system. Assuming he registered it. Bingo. I peeked over her shoulder at the computer. He's got a Humvee registered as a delivery vehicle for Alice's dress shop. Ha! Looks like he was working out of Mommy's old businesses, according to the info here. She left him the dress shop in her will. How much you wanna bet he hasn't been using the place to sell clothes? Lynn, haven't I seen you doing computer research somewheres before? Come to think of it, oh wow, you came into cell phone store I used to work at to ask me about tracking some weird calls. That was a long time ago. How'd you remember that? Holy cow, that was you? That was the weirdest week of my life, until this one, that is. We'll have to talk about that when we get a chance. That dress shop is where we'll find Sarah Wynn. I just hope to God we're not too late. We'd better wait for Cassidy to get back here before we go there. No telling what kind of crazy traps and creatures are at that place. Yep. I decided I couldn't wait. I needed to go now. Sarah Wynn was my responsibility, and I cared about her. Every moment passing was a minute closer that she could be murdered by that psychopath priest. I called a rideshare company and had them drop me off outside of the old dress store. It looked quite unused, to say the least. The door was unlocked, surprisingly, so I made my way inside, prepared for anything. As I entered the room upstairs, the smell of death corrupted my senses. It overwhelmed me. The monstrosity that stood there seemed casual at best, insane at worst. Well, if it isn't little Mr. Loverboy. This is my girlfriend. Well, she really doesn't have a name. I hope you enjoyed my handiwork today at your school. You maniac, you murdered hundreds of innocent people. All thanks to you. You're where I got the idea. I googled your school and there it was. Gotta love that intel. You should have heard them crying. Oh, one survived though, sorta. I looked at the cult leader, puzzled. This yappy little bitch named Melissa, our God granted a wondrous gift on her. She out there spreading a plague right now that would kill billions with a B. Too late to stop it, lover boy. Jesus, this madman has turned Melissa into some kind of plague carrier. I just want to know one thing. Where the hell is Sarah Wynn? That little worthless cutie, my girlfriend here, and I had our way with her before I injected her with a dose of poison. You should have heard her scream. She kept begging me not to. Now she's on floor 3. My rage grew. Sarah Wynn was my responsibility, and I loved her, as much as I had tried denying it over and over. And this monster had raped her, and I took off upstairs to the 3rd floor of the building, tears flowing from my eyes. Shouldn't you kill the guy first? Sarah Wynn, it's okay, we're gonna get you a doctor and... Christopher, is that you? She said, weakly, unable to move. Tears poured down my face, and I knelt down to hold her hand tightly. She tried to smile in vain. I won't be making it through this, so I want you to know that I love you. I always have, and I always will. I just wish we had gotten more time. Her voice trailed off into nothingness as she died. Sadness turned into anger, which turned into rage I've never before known. As I rushed down the stairs and tackled the monstrosity, punching him violently, a faint headache came upon me for a moment, which was replaced by something that I can't describe, a power of sorts. An odd glow erupted from my hand, permeating the flesh of Siddiqui, and it rearranged into a red hue as he screamed in pain. He grabbed a chainsaw and attacked me. The aforementioned glowing came from my hands again, covering the chainsaw in an eerie blue hue. The light then vanished along with the weapon, but the monster didn't seem to realize it. He changed his attack to one where he was trying to choke me. Fat chance. With a newfound strength, I stood up, tackling him out the window as we both fell into the street below. I could hear the rib snap as he impacted beneath me. He stood up, taking a swing at me and then biting my arm. It hurt like hell, but I shrugged off the pain, fortified by anger. A strange explosion of light emitted from me as our surroundings changed. Something about the sky was different, as though the immediate area had been ripped from the surface of the earth and dropped somewhere else. The monster's eyes widened and he said, "Eh?" right before a strange beam hit him, apparently coming from my own hand. He stumbled backwards, trying to fight against the silver ray that I was emitting. Managing to overcome it, he charged, headbutting me, only to make the brunt of another blast of the ray at point-blank range. Oh, the pain. I'm going to go back and rape your girlfriend's corpse blue lover boy. Better yet, I'll reanimate her and make her a toy for my pleasure. You will do no such thing. The only thing that you will do is cease to exist. I continued blasting him with the silver ray, but it was not enough. I was going to put an end to this. You have earned my annoyance, insect. I'm going to make sure that nothing you have ever done matters. I will undo you and all actions you have ever taken. With that, I realized the wrath of the orbs upon him. A blood-curdling scream of the ultimate pain came from his lips upon physical contact with them. The flurry surrounded him, taking bites out of him like a school of ravenous piranhas, each nipped one less piece of him that ever existed in the timeline. He continued screaming in pain while the orbs emptied him out, converting his essence into nothingness and making him a small morsel for Yog-Sothoth itself, for me. He cried suddenly, ceased as he began to cease. Knowledge that he ever existed would only remain in those privy to events outside of space-time, such as myself, Cassidy, Mike, and Lithuania, and rightfully so. This looks really cool, right? I love how this looks. I retracted the orbs within myself slowly enough as to not let them get out of control and destroy anything they shouldn't. I found myself standing on an empty street. I could sense the changes to the timeline and feel its intricate workings. The dress shop was long since demolished. Siddiqui never existed. His mother's store never became a base for his cult. The school was never attacked. Sarahwin was alive. She never died. A year later. Your life is over. Kiss your fruit and goodbye forever. And congratulations, she's a good catch. Congratulations. Now go make lots of babies, or at least practice it. And be sure to videotape it so I can watch it. The baby making practice, not the ceremony. You wouldn't perchance be serving cookies at the ceremony, would ya? Ah, she dyed her hair blonde for him. Gee, she's such a perv. Hair looks good long though. Mike's a lucky man. Congrats are in order. Plus, you won't unmake reality with this one. Cassidy had what I can only call a forced smile. I could see the despair in her eyes, but at the same time she seemed pleased at whom I was marrying. Congratulations are customary, I believe. Today was fated. These events were written and will play out as they should. Always remember that. An odd congratulations, but about what I would expect from her. All things considered, Cassidy gave me a strong, warm hug before returning to her seat. It was a very small wedding ceremony with Matt performing it. Saren looked absolutely stunning. Melissa, I believe it or not, was there making the drinks for everyone. She brought one to Sarah prior to calm her nerves. My domesticated life, away from all the chaos and terror of the prior year, was about to begin. Wow. We exchanged vows and rings. It was the happiest moment of our lives. Oh, I knew something was gonna happen. Without warning, Sarahwin began convulsing blood and having a seizure. She gripped my hand with weakening strength. As she dropped to the ground, I was in shock. Call an ambulance, please. Somebody help her. I screamed in horror, trying to feel a pulse. Melissa crackled in the background. I saw you first, Chris. It's not fair. I never get what I want. And that's what happens when you drink bleach in your liquor, Sarahwin. She ran away immediately before anyone could catch her. What the frick? She killed her! God, no, Melissa murdered her. I began to have a nervous breakdown while holding Sarahwin. As life quickly left her body, Cassie ran up, touching both of us and letting out tears. The first time I've ever seen her show a strong display of emotion. It's okay, take care of each other. I love you, Christopher. And with that, she was gone. Cassidy held me in her arms tightly, comforting me. Through crying tears of her own, I'm going to torture and kill Melissa. It'll be okay. I know it doesn't seem that way now, but it had to be this way. Saren was fated to die. How the fuck can you say that? Because she is still with you. That's fucked. Sarahwin, Solaris, your life, as it were, is now over, but you're not finished, just ready to be repurposed. You will serve the subconscious will of the greatest of beings. You will be reborn 2 years before your own death. I'm scared. The ants of your world will grow fear. You will grow to fear you. The time has come to take the secret name which you took when you signed the book of the center of Alcaris. You'll be the embodiment of absolute oblivion. I've restored your memory of that event. Now speak it out loud. What was the name of you choose all those years ago when Christopher convinced you to sign the book of Azathoth in your blood and essence? Oh, Cassidy. Oh, nice. That's crazy. I even had chosen to sign the book in that other game. Nice. Fuck yeah. God, that must have taken so much work, this game. Oh my god. So much work. I can't even imagine. Well, it's kind of good that I played this after I played the game where they chose to sign the book. I just count to save the universe. I heard there was something at the end. I'm letting it roll. Oh, cute. Thank you very much. Long hours of frustration. In memory of Stuart Gordon. That's really sweet. Thank you very much for adding me on there. I am sorry, I'm reading. I'm still processing everything. Yeah! I'm honored to have my name on there. Wow. You won't be able to see it, but I got goosebumps. You can't see it. I'm glad the game didn't freaking crash. Like you could play it after it crashed. Dude, that was an amazing journey. I'm gonna see if I can make a playlist with all the Arcane City games. That is so much work. I can't even imagine. Like, what the frick? That was good. I really like the scenes in the school a lot. I thought those drawings look really cool. Personally, love scenes are kind of boring to me, but I get it now. Like, even the fact that you added the little, that he liked blonde-haired women, and then you came back and she dyed her hair blonde for him. Okay, that was cute. I like that. That was well thought. And just everything is really intense. And, that's so cool, dude. Great job, guys. Like, that's everyone that helped you, and just, I can't even imagine. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Hey, stay safe out there, guys. I'll see you next time.